Welcome back to Roundtable episode 36. For the first time ever, there's one person on call that I normally hate on this show. He's a delightful individual this month. It's Jake Marangoni. Jake, thank you for being class this episode. Because Mike, Nazario, and Mark decided to say, hey, and then, whatever.
The Australians tried to bring the class into this.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Mark, you took over for me last time because I was not able to be here. You did a great job. I think you left the banners and everything as is, but hey, I respect you for taking over. How are you? And what WWE film did you bring for us?
I'm doing good. And, not only did I bring a WWE film, but I brought the best WWE film. The Mike Flanagan joint, known as Oculus.
I don't think you can call it a joint. I don't think that's you may not get canceled, but you should get canceled. Next up, Jake messaged me 3 months ago and said September 22nd, Roundtable, planning on this day. And I was like,
Australians have Monday off because it's
Public
King's
holiday.
birthday. King's birthday, thank you. The one
so I was like,
Charles
all right, we have our Sunday picked. If it was a Wednesday, I would have still. It didn't matter. I was like, lock you in for the 22nd. You have brought some of the worst films that I've ever watched for Roundtable. Like, I've hated my Altered States. Yeah. Maybe it's just one, but Altered State is still in my brain.
You liked Peter Pan. You didn't really like the Congress.
You're not doing really well.
It's an A24 film. I wasn't expecting.
You're not doing real well here. Anyways, what'd you bring this time?
I decided to bring a film that I hadn't seen. I really wanted to.
That's why you did a good job.
It also was getting a 4K re-release this year, very soon actually, which I sort of knew about but didn't really plan it with this roundtable. But I picked Tarsem Singh's 2006 film, The Fall.
Nice. So I created this Who Wants to Be On? It was Jake. Mike and Nazario both said sure, and I was like, I don't think they've ever been on an episode together.
They're a single entity, and there's
probably a reason behind this, but made me willing to do it because Kelly, one of the hosts of Film Coven, decided I'll be on, and I was like, wow. If I'm going to have to deal with Mike and Nazario, I need somebody that will hopefully at least put them in their place or bring something that's not the worst film ever made. So, Kelly, how are you doing, and what did you bring?
Oh, I'm doing good, Cody. Yes, so I was never able to get the timing right to do wireless. I was never able to get the timing right to do logged it. So, I'm so happy to be here. But I picked the wrong episode. Fellas, what are we doing here today? This was awful. I waited 3 years to come on a Multiplex talk show, and this is what I get. Let's just get on with it. I picked Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar. It's a movie I really enjoy and just never get to chat about, so I thought, here's the opportunity. I also did, like Jake, a bit of work smarter, not harder. I promised my cousin I would watch this with her, so I'm like, let's just line all this up and get it going, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Yes, I thought I've seen the poster a million times for that movie. The title, always thought it was fake. It's not. So, but I'm glad I finally got to see it. It's good. Now, you two idiots, you guys were in collusion. Like I wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh yeah.
I don't give a shit how you're doing because I'm doing awful. Mike, I know why you brought it.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well,
so
why'd you bring
I saw
it?
Nazario message the chat going, "Hey, I'll do it." So I went, "Fuck it, I'll do it too." And then right away, I messaged Nazario and went, "What's the double feature we can fuck with Cody with?" And then we just started going through a list. We came up with 20 different fucking versions of this, and then we finally settled on one. And we went, okay, I'm going to bring Dead Alive. Peter Jackson's Dead Alive because it's an insane fucking movie.
I will say this was not the worst we could have done.
Oh, yeah, not by a long shot.
Oh, I know. You know what? I believe that, honestly. I really do.
We knew Kelly was going to bring on. So we went, you know what? Let's not completely fuck over Cody on
This was
one.
the not fucking me over bit.
No. I like that you're specifically thinking about Cody and not Mark, Kelly, and I. You're like one person-
Well, yeah,
Well, I
we
think-
see Cody, we gotta fuck with him.
I think the invite was sent, and the people were still being decided upon. So it was like Cody is the target, and it just had to affect everybody else. Which I think, well, Jake might like one of these films. To be honest with you,
I did.
I would be kind of surprised if he didn't. So you brought what movie did you bring, Mike?
Peter Jackson's Dead Alive, his second movie coming off of Bad Taste, which is one of the original choices I had.
Okay. And Nazario, what did you bring?
I wanted to bring in a stupid movie that most people would probably not want to watch. So I picked Trey Parker and Matt Stone, and I was going to do worse. I was going to do Orgasmo for a second there. But then we have a lady present, so I changed it to Cannibal the Musical.
That's the most restraint you have ever shown. There's a lady present has never stopped you ever. But I'm glad this time. And I said, if I'm going to be miserable, I just need to pull off the Band-Aid and be miserable. I hate Mad Max Fury Road. I have been known to hate this movie and talk about how much I dislike this movie. A giant car wreck, car chase about gasoline that they never fill up once. But I decided, some people say, hey, this one has a storyline. This one has a plot about it. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. I said, why not? If I have to watch it at some point, I might as well watch it with two Australians. And then I think...
that?
No,
It
I
was
just
the
think that
next.
I just think that checks the box and makes me okay. So, yeah, we'll see where we get. I did not tell anybody what order we're doing this in because off the top of my head, I had no clue which movie we're going to talk about first.
Start with the normal film first, right?
Right. These crazy bastards are going to wait. We're going to put you in the middle because we have enough to talk about. We're going to start with, I think, Jake's film. I think The Fall. I think we can start with The Fall. I have never heard of this film before. And then by looking at the poster, I was even more surprised it came out in 2006 because it looks like a movie that was, like, the poster looks from the 80s, maybe 90s. So, yeah, Jake, take me through what led you to, like, kind of pick this for, like, I know the 4K release, you kind of said it, but, like, how many people recommended this? Like, why?
Well, so my brief history on The Fall is I'd heard this movie for a while. As I used to do when I was a teenager, I would just watch YouTube videos about films and essays and top 10 most beautiful movies of all time. And Cinefix made one, and The Fall was on its list. And since then, I'd always been intrigued by the movie. I'd heard of its like incredible cinematography and the fact that the director Tarsem, who had directed the J-Lo film The Cell with Vince Vaughn, which I still haven't seen. Maybe I should after this, but it's I've heard interesting things about it. But
This
I heard
dude,
he's
this
very
dude has
interesting.
a filmography that's probably more intriguing posters than quality of film that I've seen,
Right.
but Selfless, Immortals, The Cell, Mirror. I was just like, this man just is very picky and choosy what he decides to do, but he doesn't pick the right one.
There's
at
a
all.
reason why this one's getting the 4K re-release and not the rest of his other films.
Selfless?
But with this one, I had always wanted to watch it. It's a film that is notoriously very hard to find, and I just want to apologize to everyone. I messaged before Kelly because I knew in Australia it was extremely difficult, not thinking about the rest of the world. So I apologize for that, but hopefully it should be, widely available soon. But I always wanted to watch this movie. I'd heard good things about it. I had always been intrigued, and I decided let's just watch it, and let's make people who would probably usually not try and find a film like this before watch it and get their sort of opinions on it. So yeah, that's why I picked The Fall. You want me to? Because it's been a while since I've been into a general story, or do we just go into it now?
No, we can just go into it now. What I will say is I'm one that doesn't give a shit about technical aspects most of the time. We all know this about me.
Oh yeah.
This is one that I like I didn't look into like the making of this. I don't know how much is practical, what's real, but I'm assuming a lot of it's practical effects or whatever. I think how this film is shot is insane. I think it looks great. I think when I notice something off the top of my head, that's when I'm like, oh yeah, that's why people care about this shit in films. Like they pulled back on one time to show like the scale of how far like he was on top of a ridge and like looking over. I was like, that is just an insane shot, and everything that came from this and how it looks and the quality. I 100% understand why it's getting 4K release because I bet this will look incredible in 4K. Did anybody see this movie before today? Well,
Yeah.
probably. Whoa. Who's shocked that Mike you see the movie that everybody else is Mike, when did you see this? You weren't like 3 years old going to the theater, so you probably just picked this up at a video store when you're just.
So I actually saw this working at the video store that I started working at right out of high school. It came out like the month I graduated, and I got the job at the video store, and this was on the shelf. And I watched it, and I fell in love with it back then. Like Cody was saying, the visuals are amazing. The story, the whole concept of a guy telling the story to the sickle. They're both pretty much sick at this point, and him telling fantastic tales reminded me a lot of Princess Bride and the whole concept of them telling the story. And it gets more fantastical as it goes along. It gets more the concept of it becoming more factual than fiction as it goes along, because she starts imagining them as real characters is just amazing. And that ending is so fucking sad how it continues. I absolutely love it. I haven't seen it in years, so I'm glad that Jake brought it back up. I've been meaning to rewatch it.
I don't know how everybody else felt, but this film sucked me in so much that I forgot like it was a story, like telling almost. Like when it did go back, I'm like, oh yeah, this is not the world that I was fully in, and I was like, wait a minute, oh yeah, they're not. So like, I think that's an impressive feat when you can just it brings you into what it's trying to create. I think that's great. Kelly, what did you think of the film?
Yeah, I'd never heard of it. So for this episode, Cody, I don't know if I'm going to be the savior like you want me to, because I'm not really here with coherent thoughts. I'm here with like stream of consciousness thoughts, if that's okay.
Totally
so
fine.
I've got like my first note is baby crying. That's annoying. Visual feast is what I've written. So yes, I think the visuals here are beautiful. I'm watching it, and there's this scene where they're in the greens in the fields, and it's the terrace ones. I'm like, that's Bali. Like, I grew up there. Like, I know that. And so, like, straight away, I've looked at, like, all the filming locations. So that's so impressive. As we sort of said, like, the colors that pop, the scenery. Charles Darwin's coat, living for it. Love it. Like, the costume design in this movie is awesome. There's also this one with the nurse. She has this beautiful 1920s Erte Art Deco costume with, like, the white and the hanging jewels and the hat. So, like, I think people have had fun on this movie doing it all, which is great. I like the 1920s setting. I also wrote Alice in Wonderland meets Wizard of Oz meets Princess Bride. Like all those fantasy inspirations, and is taking it to that high fantasy level where you're telling stories and bringing people into it all. Lee Pace was fantastic. I wrote Lee Pace has pleasing facial features. But then
he looks like a handsome fellow.
He's a handsome man. But then I thought he was doing the 1920s voice, and I was a little bit like, I feel like this was written for Christian Bale, so I wrote Lee Pace is the Christian Bale we have at home. But I did enjoy it, and as you sort of said, it took me a really long time to get into it, to be honest. Something about the visuals actually kept me at arm's length in a really weird way, because they were so visceral. I just wasn't able to, like, the story part of it was a real slow burn. I really didn't start getting into it until they started talking about the twist with the morphine. And then I'm like, oh, I see what we're doing here. Like, trying with the manipulation and things like that. I liked when more of those plot points were getting into it, when more of the reality and the fantasy started mixing together. I'm glad I watched it. I sort of wrote, did I like it? I don't know if I liked it. Like, I liked the experience of watching it, but did it hit me to my core? No. Oh, the ending, suffering. That's all I wrote. Suffering. There was a lot of suffering at the end, and that was hard. Yeah.
Nazario, Jake, well, Jake, it was your first time watch, so what was your overall take on seeing it for the first time?
Yeah, I was knowing the visuals behind it, I was definitely sort of like more aware of it, trying to see like how good is the cinematography. And yeah, it like I think from the opening title sequence, the black and white slow motion stunt on the train tracks, I think just sort of took me like right into this with the Beethoven music playing, which is sort of a motif that plays throughout the film. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I'm still like, how much did I connect with the story? Because from just looking at it, it feels like a film that is more style over substance, and that is a term I particularly don't really like. And I know, Cody, you're someone who would say something about a post-apocalyptic movie with a guy named Max in it. Would you'd say about that? But I really love that this movie is about the celebration of stories and storytelling. Like the whole backdrop of this movie is silent filmmaking, and Lee Pace is a stunt man who gets injured on his first day, and now he's just contemplating like, do I have a career making films? And the fact that he entrances this little girl with stories about Alexander the Great, and then it turning into a story, this epic tale, as he says. I was really getting into that, and obviously the Princess Bride influences and connections are obvious. It does juggle the reality and the fantasy storylines, I'd say, fairly well. I would have liked more of the fantasy story than the reality, but that is a choice that Tarson's making, so I can't really be too critical about that. And I do really like the little girl. I think she's like Alexandra. She's like really just so natural. And I read a little bit about the behind the scenes, but when a lot of the conversations between her and Lee Pace, it's just them talking. The morphine bit was actually just an actual thing that the young actress just mistakenly thought the E was a 3, and so Tarson implemented that into the script and the story. And the way that sort of builds and how she becomes part of the story as the movie goes on, I really liked. And obviously, she represents positivity, and he's more nihilistic. He's depressed. He's spoiler alert. He's trying to kill himself. That sort of balance between this father figure and this daughter figure, I think, is really beautiful. And that's when it kept going. It made me really connect more with the story, and that's sort of my general thoughts, I'd say, about the film.
Yeah, I'm with you. I wouldn't say like as much as it sucked me in and stuff. I had kind of the same feelings that both of you had. Is like, how much did I really like the film, or was I taken back by what they were able to create on film? Which I am very critical of most movies when it's just like, if it's a cool painting, like I'd rather just look at the paint. I don't need to watch it for 2 hours or an hour and a half if it's just a giant painting on screen. So I'm the same way. So I'm fighting with my rating right now of like where I go. Nazario, did you watch this on your phone on vacation, or did you watch this before?
On my laptop.
Ah,
Well,
I bet it looks great. I bet it looks great.
Would not be happy with you.
This man watched 4 hours of Justice League on a phone.
Yes,
Multiple times.
multiple.
Yeah.
I knew about this movie because of Roger Ebert. Actually, I used to read a lot of Roger Ebert back when he was alive and reviewing movies in the mid 2000s. I really love The Cell. To me, that is a 5-star movie, like visually and story construction wise. I really love that film. I never got to see The Fall. I heard a lot of good things from it, visually mostly. Roger Ebert gave it a perfect rating too, because of like basically Tarzan was excelling on the visual department, yet it was never available here, and I kind of forgot it existed. I watched Mirror Mirror. I kind of like that movie, even though nobody else liked it. Out of like what is it, 5, 6 movies that Tarzan has directed, I have seen 2, and I like 2. So when you reminded me this existed, I was like, "Oh right, that is the one movie I wanted to watch." And back in the day, there was no internet, there was no private servers where you could, watch this shit. So, I'm actually glad that it now was available to me to watch. And honestly, I really loved it. Like, there's no, I haven't heard this comparison yet, but it actually reminded me of Guillermo del Toro. Of
yeah. Pan's Labyrinth, like that
Definitely
sort
Pan's
of
Labyrinth. Yeah,
mixing
I
of
was
like the
thinking, what
little
was the
girl's
name in English?
trauma.
Yeah, I was thinking what's the name in English. I was gonna say El Laberinto del Fauno.
El Laberinto
But
del
yeah,
Fauno.
basically because it's like a very realistic setting story with a lot of fantastical elements on the back end. The difference is in that one, they kind of make you think it was really happening too. In this one, it's just a tale that he's constructing, but it is very engrossing. I did get a little like Kelly said, like it took me a bit to get into the fantasy element of it because at the beginning it was very kind of off-putting. Even the casting he had for the masked character, then it replaces it with himself, and even later when Alexandria kind of introduces herself into the story, it just makes it a lot more endearing. So it just started like gelling a lot better, and the movie grabbed me and honestly just never let me go. It's like a very, very interesting take on this kind of story for me. And of course the ending is sadness. Like the guy is suicidal. What that this is what he's going to make. And he in a way is not only punishing himself, he kind of deferently punishing Alexandria too because of having faith in him. Because he's not what he wants. He just wants to die and end it. So he just tags the story in a way to punish her and himself for having hope. Until things happen. I really like this fucking movie. Great.
All right, Mark, you can talk now.
Okay. I don't know why you said it like that. Like,
You don't talk until I call you on you. You know, you can sit there and you'll sit there for the whole show without saying words.
I know I put in all the work here, even though I got scared to death that I wasn't going to be able to watch this movie. I was like, oh, I guess I'm just not watching this fucking thing.
You really should have just watched Cobra Kai and came here and talked about it. You should have talked about the episode when we pulled on you and be like, yeah, this is all right. I mean, I expect it to be longer than 30 minutes.
Oh, it was great. Ralph Macchio's performance.
We would all sat here like, Ralph Macchio in this movie? Where did I see that? It was great.
Like, I opened it up, like, oh, I didn't know this was on Netflix. And yeah, so, I did watch it, though. I might as well. I got the link, I definitely liked it. I'll say that I definitely liked it. I think it's definitely along the lines of these other movies that I just don't really, like, get into. Like, just kind of like these kind of fantasy movies are usually not my cup of tea, because I think you guys mentioned something like Pan's Labyrinth. I'm a little bit shocked I like that movie as much as I do, but I think this one, like, it's still good. It's got an interesting story to it. I think the element I really enjoy about it is how, like, the people involved are not necessarily good people. Like, I kind of like that Lee Pace is kind of an asshole throughout the majority of this movie, and that all he's trying to do is manipulate this little girl into getting him to, like, help to kind of help him kill himself. Like, I kind of like that, and in the end, and even in the end, he's willing to kind of fuck everything up for her by, like, telling this horrible end to a story and, like, going very anti kind of these fantasy tropes. Like, it was I think, kind of like most of you, I think like half the room was kind of saying it took a while for the story. I think for the actual story to kind of wrap you in, I kind of tend to agree on that, because I think once we get into the actual motives of the guy and we get into kind of the sadder parts of this story that's being told, like, that's really when I think the movie kicks into gear, and, like, we're kind of like, that's when we're really going. But yeah, I would say, like, and it's a weird thing, I think most people are talking about, like, the filmmaking part of it. I'm sitting here, I was like, I don't know, I thought it looked good, people wearing costumes, all right, like Darwin's got a cape, all right. I watched it on my laptop, I'm like this. I had a slightly better screen than you had in that.
I think you'd still be like, yeah, it's still a cape. Me too. Don't know if it changes what you watch it on. Anything else on this one? I don't want to brush past it more than, but if we ran our course, and then we'll get ratings. But Jake?
I was just gonna say, because I think this is really fascinating. Like Tarsem, the director, he funded this movie. I mean, I don't know if it was entirely funded by him, but a lot of it was just from him. He filmed this over 4 years. He filmed this, I believe, it was 31 countries. There's the Wikipedia tells you like all the locations, and the fact that some of them are just like visual. I wouldn't say visual gags, but they just show up for like 5 seconds, 10 seconds sometimes. It makes me just. I'm just surprised. I'm just amazed that this exists. Like, we don't get films like this often. So I really appreciate seeing a film where the director finances a film and just puts everything. I mean, we're getting 2 films like Costner and Coppola doing that this year. But like to see something like this and it be about storytelling with the visual imagination of a child, I just think it does it well. It does it really well. And yeah, like as we were saying, like it takes some time to juggle the realities of that and the fantasy, but it does connect. And I guess metaphorically, the story just really works, and how it's sort of the internal struggle between Roy and Alexandra. And yeah, there's just really charming moments. I just want to talk about the greatest transition in film history when
the red sheet.
No, that's a really good one.
That's the one I want to talk about.
Okay,
that
you can talk
awesome.
about that. I'll talk about my one, which is it's at the wedding, and it's the guy's face, and they're about to be double crossed by Governor Odious's people, and they knock him out, and the guy's face transitions into the desert, almost exactly getting the shape of his face with his lips and eyes, and that just like blew my mind. It's a shot I've known forever, but to see it, not even thinking about it, and just seeing that transition, just like the attention to detail. I don't know how they could have done that, because they obviously filmed that on 2 different days in 2 different countries, most likely. To see that into fruition is just like incredible.
Yeah, I think I want to piggyback off that with the transitions was the last point I wanted to make on it. I like that it doesn't hold your hand in a sense, like it would just jump cut to different locations. And I think that's really cool because it is that bit of a global love letter where you're seeing like the India, Africa, you're seeing Indonesia, like all these really exotic locations, and it would just be these big pops of colors. But the one that really took me back was this red sheet when it's the blood of who gets stabbed, who dies, the brother, yes.
Yeah.
And so you're transitioning from the sheet of that, and then just he puts his hand on it and it all goes red, and just that the use of color throughout is just something that I'm going to take. That's the takeaway I'm going to take from it.
I love both of you very much. Thank you for that. I didn't notice any of that shit at all. Like, I thought it was okay. You guys' minds are blown, and I'm sitting on there, yeah, whatever, move on. You guys transitions of all time. What the fuck are you talking about? And then you both like had one, and I was like, I have no idea what the fuck was. Like, what are you gonna pull from? I thought it was cool, but like nothing stood out. But you know what? That's why I bring more people on the show than myself. Well done. Okay. How this works is we're going to give star ratings. Okay, we do it letterbox scale. So whatever your take on it, if you don't have it off the hand, it can change. We're not locking you in. Just curious. I'm going to start with Jake since this is your movie that you brought.
Yeah. I'm going to give it. Yeah, I was really like struggling to think of what I was going to give this. When I was watching the movie, I was like, it's a 4.5 stars. When I thought about it more, it's like, is it 4? Is it 5? I think I'm going to go 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed 95% of this movie. And now that I know what I'm getting myself into, now I know what the story beats are, it will be very interesting on a rewatch to see sort of how it plays out and my expectations on it. But also, I just want to quickly shout out the gang, the bandits or the thieves. You got a demolition expert.
That's a great D&D party. Oh,
absolutely.
Sorry, one more. I wrote, make sure to say to Jake, Luigi reminds me of Beanie from Atlantis. Glue.
Oh, yes.
I feel like I'm at a party I wasn't invited to. I have no idea what
absolutely. Because he's got the Italian accent and he's the demolition expert.
It's the demolitions. He's like, we got this, and this is cigars, like, we got glue. Like, that's all I could think.
He's got the lit dynamite that he keeps having to stop. That's it. It was really good.
Australians are having more fun than us. That's fair. You guys have more fun than us. I'm gonna go. Well, that's fair. That's fair. I'm stuck between 3 and 3.5. Like I'm in that range. I'm gonna probably go 3.5 because I did enjoy myself. It did suck me in, but overall, I don't know. Like I don't think it's any higher than that for me. But it might go on rewatch. I'm not sure. We'll go with Mike. He saw this. The oldest he saw it when we were all young whippersnappers. Mike, what was your rating?
I was in college.
Hey, Nazario, no one's talking to you.
So look, we got a great story, great characters, great visuals. It's a great fucking movie. 5 stars.
I could do this for you. I don't even know why I entertained it. Nazario.
I actually was very, very close to giving this 5 stars. I think the beginning, the beginning part of the narrative of the story is what loses me a bit. So I ended up in 4.5. But in a rewatch, it may go.
Oh. Mark.
Again, kind of figured that I'd be, or I guess me and Cody would share the low man on this one. 3.5 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, that's I was positive. There it is. I've never done this before, so the only 2 movies you can't really decide on because those are going to be in the middle. What movie you want to talk about next?
Wait, did Kelly?
May I have my rating, please, Cody?
Yes. I assumed you gave
Wow,
your
just
rating.
pushing
but
it
you
way
were-
to the side. It doesn't matter.
Cody hates women.
No,
Round table.
I have a defense. There was a whole conversation about Atlantis and D&D. I know. I heard her speak.
Oh, yeah, it's
I
Kelly's
thought she
fault.
gave a rating. That's my bad.
No. I'm going to throw my hat in for 3.5 as well. I'm much more story driven as well. I thought it was really pretty. I fucking hate the term on a rewatch. Like, I'm sorry, that shit pisses me off so badly. I'm fucking rewatching this. Like, it's 3.5 and it would live with that.
I've never been stabbed in the heart, but that's probably the closest.
Listen. We only have a few catchphrases, and that's definitely one of them. All right, fair. Well, things can change. Look at Koho; he's changed a lot.
He watches movies on one-time speed now.
Yeah, and he finally understands what directors were going for. So the next film is we can't go with Brain Dead or Dead Alive or that fucking garbage film Nazario picked. So you can either pick Kelly's new movie, Mark's movie, or my movie to talk about next. Which one we want?
Wait, are you asking all of us?
Who's
Yes.
this directed to?
Everybody. What do you want to talk about?
We'll talk about, I don't know, Twohig Fu or Furiosa?
That's perfect.
Yeah,
We're good.
cool.
I was going to go to the first person that spoke, so that works for me. So you already planned on watching this with somebody,
Yes.
so that's why you put it on. But overall, like, when did you discover this movie the first time? What stood out of it from the first time? Go from there.
I got a weird tangent story, and I'm really glad it actually sort of connects to you, Cody, because I saw this poster first before I'd even heard of it, and it really does sound like a fake movie. This poster was in my regional high school in like 2006, and I saw like Patrick Swayze, Dirty Dancing is one of my favorite films, so like I'm like, oh, Patrick Swayze. And there's this movie called like Twohig Fu, Thanks for Everything, and I'm like, what the hell is this movie? And at the time, being 15, I'm like, I know a lot about movies, like how have I never heard of this one? And it's kind of one of those ones that really got me interested in trivia because I wanted to know more about filmographies and like knowing everything because it feeds my ego. So when I finally got to watch this one, like it was one of those ones that had stuck in my head for a really long time with the title. But I'm a huge fan of RuPaul's Drag Race. And drag artists in general, and I'm here to not speak for the community, but speak in support of, because it's a community I love with a lot of people I love. So this movie is a big hidden gem in my opinion. It's one that I would say a lot of everyday sort of people have. That sounds so derogatory. That sounds so condescending. Not everyday people. I mean, if I go down like with my regular friends outside of the community who don't study obsessively and want to know everything, like they might not have heard this one. So I really enjoy introducing this one to a lot of people. In that regards, I think it's a hidden gem, but then also I think it's a bit of a touchstone for LGBTQI plus cinema. Like it's definitely one that has moved that movement forward. And is a really important touchstone. So this is just one that I enjoy visiting. And on top of that, I think it's just a good movie. It mixes heart and it mixes humor really well. And it's just an enjoyable time. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw the poster. I thought the poster was fake, to be honest with you, for the longest time. I was like, that just seems like something was made. And
Wesley
just was
Snipes
like
as a drag queen?
Yeah.
Like, that's a hard sell.
Like, even if you look at the poster, like if you zoom in, Wesley Snipes looks like Photoshop, doesn't look real at all. I couldn't be more surprised at this movie. I wouldn't say I was worried because it's got 3 actors in it that I enjoy, but like the comedy aspect I was worried about, to be honest with you, because I was
like if it held up, like because it's from the 90s and
I didn't know, like going into it, I was like, okay, this is coming on the show. I don't think Kelly would pick something that was going to get us canceled.
problematic. No,
But I was like, this is 95. These jokes could be wild. I'm bringing the Zari on too. We're on our own episode of Canceled. But overall, like, I thought it was so original, like, and the jokes hit so well, and they're like, just how they had the different situations of like how they all set it up. Like, I just thought it was so funny. And I think they played off each other so well in it. I was like, 1, kind of mad that I haven't seen it prior, and then 2, like, I mean, I still hate the title and everything because it just gets confused. Like, it's hard for me to bring up.
The title does it a bit of a disservice. Like, it's a bit of a barrier to it. Like, it is a thing of the movie, but I think you hear that title and you hear 214, you're like, what am I getting into? Whereas if they had something else, like, obviously it's really inspired the series We're Here, which is on HBO, which is drag artists have actually taken this movie and now go into small towns and make over people and like spread the art and love of drag. So I think this movie is definitely, whoever's written and directed it come from that space, because there's a lot of authenticity to it for me. There's artists from the 90s, like I see Coco Peru, I see Lady Bunny, like I see people. So I see RuPaul coming down in a Confederate flag dress called Rachel Tensions, which is just a fantastic name. So I think it's a love letter, and I think it's people being in on it all, showing and sharing their art. So that's why I think it holds up really well to today.
Like that scene, like Wesley Snipes, like when they get catcalled away, and like he walks up to her and just grabs him by. I was like, and if it's night, good job. Like just goes through. And then Patrick Swayze's the whole point is like, you like to hit women. Hit me. Like, it's just like, so I like to hit men. It was just, they worked really well. The scenes really worked. Did anybody else see, well, Mike, you're not included. Anybody see this film prior to Kelly bringing it up?
I saw this in theaters. Funny story. My dad watched have you ever seen the trailer for this?
Me and Mark got the same thought. Like,
so the trailer,
lightly, Nazario, for the love of God. No.
The trailer of this starts with like making a spoof of like big action stars, Wesley Snipes and Patrick Swayze. So my dad heard that and he was like, "Yeah, I'm into that," and he didn't finish watching the trailer. So he took me to watch the movie, expecting something completely different. And 30 minutes in, he was like, what is this? What is happening? He didn't even realize that the characters were the actors. He's like, who are these people? Where is Wesley Snipes? And I'm the one having to sit there and tell him, like, that's Wesley Snipes. And that's Patrick Swayze. The man was angry. He actually asked for a refund and everything. But I actually stayed and watched the whole movie, which I kind of enjoyed. Not as much as most people with this kind of movie. I actually like the Birdcage a bit more.
Very similar vibes. Yeah, I was watching it as well. I'm like, and Robin Williams.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way,
how's that for a cameo?
I was not expecting him to show up.
Was in this movie. I completely forgot he was in this movie for a second there, and I watched it. I think it was Friday night. I was like, "Oh, Robin Williams, good shit." John Jacob, Jingleheimer, maybe whatever.
His name is my name too.
Yeah, it was something that I vividly remember. And he got his money back too because he was that bitch about it. So next time, watch the fucking trailers, Dad.
I think I'm just going to take over hosting roles while Cody's not here. I think as well that like you realize there's a lot of actors in it, and you're like, oh, it's that person. Oh, oh, it's that person. Like, there's like Blythe Danner, there's Stockard Channing. I love Stockard Channing and anything. I'm like,
yeah.
Chris Penn.
it's Rizzo. It's Abby Bartlett. Like, Marco Vartan. Yeah, all different people. Did anyone? So who hadn't seen it yet? Jake,
All right.
what was your first takes on it?
Yeah, so I'd heard of this movie. I think I had just heard of this through trivia. I think this was a question like Patrick Swayze, Wesley Snipes, John Leguizamo, they've been what movie? And yeah, I'd always been intrigued. I'm an Australian, so Kelly, you're probably going to agree with me, but Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
That's the other one. I tossed up between those two picking.
Big movie. My mum told me to watch that when I was a teenager. Really enjoyed that movie. It was hard. It was, I wouldn't say hard, actually. It was sort of easy to separate the two because they're going for, even though they're both about 3 drag queens on a road trip in the desert, essentially, they tackle different ideas, and like obviously Priscilla's involves about a trans woman, and that's a part of the story as well. But with this one, I really like I don't want to say, I don't know if I call this a vibe movie, but I just like how it's the 3 of them in this town and just them making everyone's lives better. That is something I really like. And it's not trying to, obviously there's a history with drag queens and the
Small town America.
Unfortunately, there's people who are not on the side of what these people do and are afraid. And obviously, the Chris Penn character is a personification of that. I really like how it's not the entire movie. It's not everyone's just anti them. It is obviously they look at the Chris Penn character and go, "This guy is an idiot. He's nuts. He's stupid."
You're laughing at him, not with him. It's very like 100%. It's Always Sunny, where you're like, the humor's coming from how much of an idiot this people is.
And how demented these people are. But like Chris Penn, when he's making his list of where
the list,
the list is like antique shop, like right, like I thought that was funny. Obviously, he's the idiot, and the best part of him, or his joke, is when he's in the bar and he's just talking about men. Like, it's really good.
The one joke that I really dig is like at the end of the movie where they actually believe like people haven't figured out that they're not women, and they're like, "Well, we have something to say." And like, yeah, we know. Like the hell
they have that unspottable
really
moment.
Like
I'm glad to see
Yeah,
that.
I wrote that in my notes too. Spartacus, I am a drag queen.
I'm glad to see we're still live and we're not canceled at this point. I stepped away when Nazara was talking because who knows where we're going to be.
We're doing all right, hon. We're doing all right.
Kelly took over and she's like keeping us in control.
Good. Mark, what was your take on it?
Yeah, like I will say I have heard about this movie before. It was when a weird thing because I was up late on HBO watching that John Leguizamo one-man show Ghetto Clown, and he talked about this movie where he's like, "Oh yeah, I did this movie where I was dressed in drag with like Patrick Swayze and Wesley Snipes." I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? Like,
yeah,
really?
Doesn't sound real.
Like, so yeah, like I'd known about it, never caught, and glad I got a chance to watch it just because like it just seemed like such a weird movie and a weird premise, but I think it's a movie I think I appreciate than I like it, just because I'm really fascinated by just how this movie got made and just all the factors into it. Like one thing I do really like about it is we spend the entire movie with Swayze, Snipes, and Leguizamo in drag. Like they are never not in drag, except for like the very beginning of the movie where you see Swayze walk out of the shower and then he gets dressed up in the entire movie there, which is kind of nuts because this movie came out in 95, like when Swayze was rising, Snipes was rising. Like these are all 3 really big stars, and we see them in drag for the entire movie. I think it's kind of crazy that this movie even got made.
This movie makes zero sense.
Convincing. That's the thing that really made me love the film was how convincing they are at playing drag queens. Like I was just
they've done their research. Like they're throwing shade. Like absolutely.
Even just the way they walk, and I'm just like, this is incredible.
I want to be in the pit. Like I think this movie's good. I think the better story is I want to see they didn't film it, but I want to see the documentary on the pitch meeting where they said we're going to take Patrick Swayze, Wesley Snipes, and John Leguizamo. We're going to put them in drag. Oh, by the way, the movie is going to be called Tu Wong Fu. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. We're going to put this is the poster on it, and how that person didn't get. Will you get the fuck out of my office? Like in the fastest way possible. And
Well, that
then
person's office
I would
was
look-
Steven Spielberg. I just want to make that clear.
I know, and then I want to sit down with hearing Wesley Snipes, Patrick Swayze, and Jake
Sign up for
Gyllenhaal
it.
pitched. Hey, by the way, this is what we're going to do in this in the movie, and then be like, "Yep, done." What? There's something that just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make it. I'm glad it happened. It is, but it's one of the most fascinating things ever because that's like taking the the top stars of today. Is the perfect example. Nazario's dad, which if this was a sequel, he would have took him to before he saw the original, and he'd still been pissed off about it. But my thing is, he saw those names and said, "Done." You Patrick Swayze, Wesley Snipes. You don't even in the '90s. You didn't have to convince anybody. Absolutely, we're gonna go see it, and then this is what comes out of it. Fantastic, just fascinating to me. It's crazy. I hope there's like a behind the scenes story later in life that says, "Hey, a film that you just don't understand." Somebody needs to do a film about. Somebody needs a deep dive, start calling people, get stuff, and figure out. Tell me what this is about.
Well, yeah, I think John Leguizamo and Patrick Swayze in his biography have sort of talked about it. Mike, you sent me that reel. Hey, yeah. That they had a bit of beef behind the scenes and all that, so that makes a lot of sense. But I also want to touch on just the love letter to old Hollywood. We just talked about the fall and 1920s and stuff. So I love that there's all those scenes with Wesley Snipes' character and the older lady Clara that they love. Yeah, that they love Dorothy Dandridge and that old Hollywood feel. There's so many quotes I've taken from this movie into my life. I'm like, that's Anne Baxter in the Ten Commandments, and those are the moves. Or it's a Say Something Hat Day. So I love a comedy that sort of then bleeds into your real life. Mm-hmm. And then the last thing I want to touch on is that we talked about how they didn't know they were women. It's I know that I'm very fortunate to have a lady friend that just happens to have an Adam's apple. I watched this with my cousin, and she goes... she turned to me and said, "Why can't the world be like that? It's not that fucking hard, is it?" So I think that's why this movie is so important. It's still saying stuff to this day that we were saying back in the 90s. So I still think it's really pertinent, and I'm glad to have spoken about it today. Thank you.
Mike, I'm going to let you speak and tell me how fucking awesome this is and this great fucking movie. Go ahead.
So,
just do it, Mike.
Like Nazario, I watched this movie in the theaters with my family. We went to go see it. I think I was 7 or 8, and we would go to the theater every week and see the major releases. So this came out. I had already loved Wesley Snipes, all 3 of them. I was obsessed with at this point. So going into this movie, I was already hyped for it. And weirdly, I enjoy Chris Penn's journey in this because he's such a fucking moron throughout this movie. But he also is attached to one of the greatest lines, which is when he has Patrick Swayze out of the car and he goes down there and he goes, "Get your hand off my dick, buddy," and fucking knocks his ass out. Fucking lays him out. Fucking, I die every fucking time with that part. It's great humor in this movie. It has a great message throughout. I think Jake and Kelly both touched on this. During the whole scenes in the town with them helping everybody is so fantastic. I think it's a good fucking movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Good fucking movie.
Wow, interesting. I'm a little shocked by that, but that's fair. He can't be put in a box, folks. He can't get put in a box. Okay, we're gonna get ratings. Kelly, what's your rating?
If I'm it's a 4-star really, but to me it's a 5-star, and it keeps going up on each rewatch because I think what it says, the enjoyment I get out of it is unmatched. It's up there as an all-time Kelly movie for me.
But you hate on rewatch.
This is worth the rewatch. This is worth the rewatch, my friend. This isn't one that I've watched once and gone, on a rewatch it might go back. This is one that is proven on the rewatch to go up. You want to cover for me? You cover for me?
Just throwing attacks. But I mean, for what you brought on the show, you deserve a bit of it. I'm at 4 stars. About 4 stars. I had a damn good time with it. I would show this to basically anybody. It's super smart, and I think the comedy works super well for me. And again, if the comedy didn't work, this could have been a 1. Like it is so crucial. A comedy is such hit or miss for me because some people are like, that's so funny. I'm like, that's fucking boring and not funny at all. And then it could be drowned. So comedy is so subjective. So I can understand somebody watches this and hates it. Just a comment. That comedy works for me. So definitely 4 stars for me. Mike, you already said it, but why don't we actually hear the rating?
Yeah, 4 stars. Good fucking movie. You know, it's so much fun in there, but it just didn't hit that level for me.
Similar ratings he gives to all-time greats that people like, just so he doesn't have to give comments back to it. Mark.
I kind of said it before. I think I find the story behind this movie more fascinating than the actual movie. Just as a whole, like I'm just not really on its wavelength, story or comedy wise. So yeah, I give it like a 2.5 out of 5 stars.
Okay. It's all right. Take it
Kelly is
slow.
silently judging you.
Jake.
Wait till we get to Oculus, my friend.
Oh boy.
You wouldn't be the first one to bash my movie on here.
Don't worry, that's why I'm here. Fuck that mirror.
I really love this movie. I'm gonna give this an easy, strong 4 stars with the love heart. Also, because you can add on.
You just went to the automatic shit list for me.
I'm sorry.
I hate that feature. That is the dumbest feature ever. If I get 4 stars, did you like it? Well, I gave it 4 stars. They gave a heart.
I would have given this movie 3 stars had Julie Newmar not shown up in the movie. So
the ending.
At the end, it was great. And I'm pretty sure they filmed the last scene at the mansion or wherever it is. I'm pretty sure that is the house from Ready or Not, the Samara Weaving horror film from 2019. I'm like 90% convinced I need to look into that. That's it. I'm done.
Nazario.
I'll give it 3.5. I think it's a good movie. He probably gave it a half a star because he got his money back. I think it's a good movie. I think 3.5 is solid. It's not something I would definitely look out for rewatches. Like I mentioned earlier, I have similar vibes to The Birdcage, but that one I find funnier in the comedy way. So, it's fine. I'm glad I rewatched it, and honestly, I kind of forgot most of it. I didn't even remember Robin Williams was in it for a second there, but it's alright.
It's a 1 scene. You can't really.
All right. When am I talking? We're gonna go to a film of 2 fucking idiots that I absolutely can't fucking stand or despise. Trey Parker and Matt Stone, I think are fucking abominations of this world. I can't stand them. I don't find them funny at all. So talking about when comedy doesn't work for you or you're just stuck in hell. They've done one thing that I like in this Book of Mormon. Other than that, this is an absolute I was in hell for. I have watched 2 episodes of South Park, and I would rather step on nails for the rest of my life than watch Cartman's fat ass talk ever again.
In America, we're police.
97 minutes of fucking hell. Go ahead. Tell me, besides just Cody, fuck Cody, let me bring this fucking bullshit on. All singing, all dancing, all flesh eating. That's literally what it led with. Oh, as soon as I saw him with that dumb, stupid beard and hair, I was like, I'm gonna lose it. And that was a minute in, and I didn't like it. So, proceed.
It's a cheaply made, stupid little movie. I do like the humor from Trey Parker and Matt Stone. I have liked on most levels all of the movies they made so far. I like Orgasmo, I like Basketball, I like Team America, World Police. This one is kind of lost. A lot of people have either not heard of it or heard of it and haven't been able to watch it, which is why I wanted to bring it forward. I think it's funny. It's not the best thing they've ever made, but it is the one that is less likely for people to look for, which is why I decided to bring it, because I can make you watch it. And I do think it's funny. There are some things like you can see, it's like glimmers of brilliant humor that will come from other things that we'll do later in it. Like the fucking "Let's Build a Snowman" song is hilarious, and the way it ends, it's the fucking best. And there are little things that you don't expect coming, like when he finally kills the guy who's actually been eating people because he's a fucking madman. Like he was a priest. Then all he wants to do is sing the fucking song, and he can't because the guy won't die. That is hilarious. I think in general, they just grab I like weird ass musicals. I like musicals that are not really meant to be musicals. This is why my favorite Von Trier movie is Dancer in the Dark. I like trying to fit square things into circles, which is why I appreciate this movie for what it is. And
every musical fan ever is like, Dancer in the Dark wouldn't be in their top.
We do have a big musical fan here.
I think you must at least have chuckled. So
all I'm saying is, I wish I was Mark and be like, fuck musicals, it was already dead on arrival. No, I love musicals. This just made me question if I actually like any musical ever again. I have zero to add. I couldn't tell you a song. Every time I saw his face show up on screen, I was done. So y'all, this is a free for. Go ahead, talk about this piece of shit.
So this is go ahead. Jim.
Sorry, I'll try and be quick because honestly, I watched this movie yesterday and I don't remember 95% of this movie. So it starts off with the trial. I get that flashback. Let's see how he was accused of being a cannibal. Shit happens. There's some musical sequences that I don't remember, other than the snowman one, which was kind of amusing. It's cheaply made. It looks like crap. The sound is appalling. I hated how obviously everyone was dubbed. I hated that. It obviously just separated the voice from what I'm looking at, so it just took me out immediately. Trey Parker and Matt Stone, they've done good things. I'll admit I've not seen Book of Mormon, but I love Team America. I think that movie's really funny. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but I think that movie's got really funny bits in it. I don't really care for South Park. It did when I was a teenager, when I was 15, but then I grew up, and I don't really like South Park anymore. I don't have.
Fuck you! We're both grown.
Yeah, Mike.
I'm not 15-year-old anymore. Sorry.
Fuck, Mike.
In your face, Mike.
Hey, pause. When you said the sound real quick. I've heard in Hollywood how expensive to have horses on sets are and stuff. Like if you want horses in your film, it's expensive. They could have fucking just had the motherfucker walk and turn that money into sound equipment to make this thing sound like it wasn't in a fucking tin can. This thing was low budget. I get. Sound quality, what's the point? You're doing a musical, they must have sang live like Les Mis, because the shit was but with worse equipment. It's bad.
Okay,
go ahead, back to you, Jake. Sorry. I'll go.
Well, I'm going to be the two-punch to Jake's one, I think. So I don't think this is the most offensive thing. In some ways, the thing that annoyed me the most is just that it's so clearly meant to be a stage musical, and I couldn't get over that it just didn't translate very well to film. So whether it's low budget or not, I get that this is I think it was a college piece or something, Alex said, and I'm a big musical fan, so I'm picking up on all the Oklahoma, Rodgers and Hammerstein, I get what we're parodying here. But I think a lot of it would have worked better if it's on stage, because there's just some sort of suspension of disbelief when you're sitting in the theater. So I like weird musicals as well. Nazari, this gives me Evil Dead the musical. I think it would work on the stage so much better than what it did, because the jokes just didn't land. So I didn't like the guy standing back up and interrupting the song. I think if you watch that on the stage, your audience cracks up. And that's the other thing, is that there's something... Yeah, Cody. Yeah, I think they do, because you're sitting there being immersed in the theater. So I can see where the starts of Book of Mormon and everything is. I like Stone and Parker, I like South Park and all that sort of thing. Very similar to Jacob. It's probably been a while since I watched it, but I like that sort of humor. And I like even just that the best joke to me was when they were talking about the musical notations. like, no, we're doing this in this key and we're doing it with
like
these,
that.
like that technical aspect. That was the strongest part for me. But again, if you're doing that on stage, that would work so much better. So as a movie, fail. As a concept, fine.
I kind of want to watch a movie about Heathers the musical, though. I like that one.
So this is a Trauma movie, which anybody that knows Trauma is Lloyd Kaufman, Toxic Avenger, all those. It is made to be low budget. I absolutely...
What did
This
you just
movie's
say to
insane.
me? Like, what words did you just say? Was there English and Indian?
You would not know Trauma, Cody.
I believe they picked it up after the
Yes.
film was
Yeah,
made,
they picked it up after
They
the film.
distributed
But
it.
yeah, it is a Trauma-esque movie from beginning to start.
We
Low
should have done
budget,
the Toxic Avenger,
insane.
Mike.
Huh?
Indian. I got you.
We should have done the Toxic Avenger.
Yeah. Insane fucking gore, ridiculousness involved. I absolutely enjoy the hell out of this movie. If this wasn't a musical, it would be 5 stars for me. Some of the music takes
If
me
it was
out
just
of it.
cannibal.
Yeah, if it was just cannibal and destruction, fucking 5 stars for me all about. Trey Parker and Matt Stone I absolutely love, and their fucking fake beards. The fake beard of Trey Parker is fucking insane, and I love it to death.
Shocker.
Yeah, it's such a fucking fun time. I enjoy the hell out of this movie.
Mike, I've got a story for you that you're gonna love. So, I've watched all the rest of these with Al. So we're sitting there, and he's a big Stone and Parker fan, and he's like singing the songs as it's going, and I'm like, I turn to him, I'm like, how many times have you fucking seen this? And he's like, no, I've seen it once or twice, and I've downloaded the album. So we're sitting there, and that song comes on where he's singing about the horse, and we're sitting on like an L sofa, so I'm laying this way, and he's sitting behind me, and all of a sudden, out the back, he goes, your eyes, your smile, and just pokes me in the fucking face, and what's meant to be a really sentimental and endearing thing, but it's come out of nowhere, just hit me in the corner of my eye, and I've just gone, shit! So that's my experience with the movie.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh my god. Downloaded the album? I'm worried for
I'm yelling about you at the moment that you downloaded
That's
those kind of
scary.
I didn't know
That's
the album was like available.
You shouldn't be. Shouldn't be. Mark, you love musicals.
Yeah,
We always use musicals in our team matches.
absolutely.
That's why
Love
both your
nothing.
defense are.
Love nothing but. I gotta tell you, I was a little surprised by this movie. I've seen a decent chunk of Trey Parker, Matt Stone.
I'm fucking hell.
I like most of the things that they do. Whenever I watch South Park, I like it. I honestly really like basketball. I really enjoy Team America. I think that's one of the more underrated comedies of the 2000s. But this movie really sucks. I was not on this movie's wavelength at all. I think even though I think they actually I think are better at writing songs. I think people give them credit for. I think they usually make really good funny numbers. I don't think any of these are particularly. The only one that I think is good is the Polly Pry one. It just from a comedic level, it's funny because she's sitting there, she's looking at singing about his eyes, and it's this crazy picture of Trey Parker out of that, and then she's looking off the distance, see that one guy walking by, and he's trying to figure out what she's looking at, that song kind of cracked me up. But and then that we brought up the part where the guy just keeps Trey Parker's just trying to start the song, and the guy's coming ah! I like that too, but I just think for the most part the humor just really doesn't work. The songs are kind of bad, and I'm just really, even though it's only 95, 97 minutes, I was bored for a lot of it. It was just kind of rough. It was probably the shortest movie we have here. It's probably one of the hardest ones to get through of this episode.
Can we all watch this on Tubi?
What?
Can we all watch this on Tubi? I was just curious.
Hell no.
Okay.
I will never watch anything with ads. No.
It was the only way I could watch this movie, so I had to endure the ads.
If I watch this, I'm being honest.
There are Plex servers.
If I watch this on Tubi, the first commercial, I'm not coming back to it. I promise. I would have faked it all the way through. No chance. We're gonna get star ratings. Nazario.
1.5.
You jumped
One
your
star.
turn.
1.5 is shit.
Respect the order, Nazario. We will have order, Nazario.
I think there is a lot of potential, and I like most of the time I'm enjoying watching this film. So, 3 stars. Solid.
You
No
brought
heart.
a 3-star. You're a
No heart.
douchebag. Mike,
Good fucking movie. 4 stars.
1.5 from
Kelly's
Kelly.
got us 2 on food.
Yeah, that's my thoughts
Jake-
as well. Fuck off, Mike.
A very, very generous 1 star. Only because I feel like I wasn't really paying attention to the movie, and I don't know if that was the movie's fault or my fault, and so I'm going to be slightly generous.
Mark.
I concur with the lady on the panel. 1.5 stars.
I am very. This is a 0.5 star. If another foreign country came over and said we want to do a prison exchange, I would send these 2 with them if they are in the States with us. So yeah, that's it. A 0.5 star. It goes in the bottom of the barrel of terrible movies. Don't worry, it's going to have company. We're going to Brain Dead. I'm going to lead again because this is my show and I do what I want. I can't really tell you a lot that happened in this movie. I spent a lot of the time looking away and disgusted. I have a terrible, like I can puke real easily on nasty and gross shit. My gag reflex is one of the worst in the world. I was disgusted by this film. And when I put movies at 0.5 stars, they're not always like the worst made films, because I can see some sick bastards being like, great film, love it, look at the practical effects, look at the comedy that they were able to do it, look what they were able to create. If I can't look at the screen and watch this without wanting to hurl, you're a 0.5 star, I'm never going to watch this. I could watch this movie on 7 times, like keep rewatching it. It will never move. Yeah, it's bad. It's 0.5 star, but hey.
Wait.
Sick
This is the rules. We don't give the 0.5 star now.
That's
Cody.
my show. I do what I want. I already led with it's got some company, so I gave it away. Mike, what depths? Well, you were 92, so you were what? How old? You were in theaters watching this with your mom and dad. What?
He was 57 years old.
Yeah, 57.
Yeah, exactly.
Just after your coffee at the store. Was it hard convincing you to go to see this movie in theaters, or what?
So
what
I
happened
did
with
not see this movie in theaters.
Great parenting.
I had
Good job.
I had saw Frighteners in the theaters, and I fucking fell in love with Peter Jackson. So the first thing my family did was try to track down his older films, and yeah, we were able to track down a bootleg copy of Bad Taste, which I absolutely fucking loved, and then they showed me Dead Alive, and I fucking became obsessed with it. The fucking practical effects, the comedy, fucking tastic. Okay, it is
right
such
into that one.
it's such an insane fucking ride, and the lawnmower kills, everything, man. It was
Party's
considered
over.
the bloodiest film of all time up until probably Evil Dead 2013. That probably took it over, but it was considered the bloodiest film of all time.
I don't know what you're talking about. There was no blood in this film. I don't remember anything. There was no just
Everything bled.
Everything.
And the mother
things that weren't supposed to bleed bled. Like everything, there was blood on everything.
The mother becoming a monster at the end is fucking like a fucking towering monster. Destroying the house is so fucking awesome. And I love that she swallows him up and he fucking cuts her stomach open and she just falls down into the depths of hell and dies. It's such a fucking great ride.
She couldn't speak as a zombie, but she can speak as a monster.
Yes. I absolutely love it. It's amazing. You're welcome to all of you.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
I don't care who talks. Go ahead.
I'll quickly go. Yeah, Peter Jackson's like an interesting filmmaker. It's like I'm not a Lord of the Rings guy. It was never one that I just got into as a kid. I only 6 years ago had watched them for the first time. Honestly, just my parents never really cared about Lord of the Rings, and because of them, I never really cared about Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry, Kelly. They're New Zealand films anyway, so
Your parents didn't like culture.
Well,
Isn't
I
that
was
the
just
same
too young
place?
as
New
well.
Zealand, Australia, aren't they pretty much the same place?
Okay, well,
We were fucking waiting for that one. No,
Oh,
we
that was coming
only
up.
claim the good shit. Like,
Yeah.
this is not good. I do not claim this is Australian.
I don't speak entirely for Kelly. I just want to say I really did enjoy this.
Hell yeah!
I know the violence
Get
is
me off
gonna
the
be-
bottom of the screen, Cody.
I'm
I
shocked.
know the violence is not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but I do just like that. This is what Peter Jackson was known for pre-Lord of the Rings. Like, this is why everyone was like slightly skeptical when they found out he was going to make like these $300 million big fantasy epics. This is what people were going off. The Brain Dead, and like, yeah, he made Heavenly Creatures, which is like, you know, like a drama, and it's like, I've heard really good things about it. I'd like to watch that. But like, Frighteners is like bonkers with what he does there, and this is even more bonkers. Meet the Feebles, I've heard that's like even like that. But this is insane. This movie's insane, and I do like that the movie doesn't care about any sort of sense of taste. It's just like, what do we just have as much violence and disgusting shit as possible? And when I come to watching horror movies, I generally will give a movie positive if it creates a gut feeling that I have when I'm watching, where I go, holy shit. Like, I had that similar with the ending of Alien Romulus, and watching Brain Dead was very similar when you just start seeing organs from some guy's decapitated body start chasing the main character like it's something out of The Thing. That's when I went, holy fuck, this is weird and freaky, and I like it. I like seeing just this organs animate itself and try to kill whatever the guy. It's crazy. I do think some of the performances are really outlandish, and I like that. I think it's the right tone for this movie. I think the romance isn't particularly developed well, but then again, I don't know if that was the entire tension. I think Peter Jackson's not really too focused on that. But when this movie hits, I think it really hits. And that's specifically really in the last 30 minutes.
Oh.
How did Latinos get into New Zealand? When the movie's like, I am Paquita, I'm like, what? How?
Asking questions we need the answers to.
This movie is fucking brilliant. To me, this kind of felt like Peter Jackson's version of Evil Dead, which is like horror but hilarious and disgusting but hilarious. The moment, like, the movie opens with the guy getting the fucking rat monkey, and
Skull Island.
Skull Island. Yeah.
Skull Island. And he gets beaten, and they're like, "Oh my god!" They cut his arm off, and then like, "Oh, the other arm!" And they cut off, and then they see his head has a crack. I knew what I was getting into. It was confirmed the moment they go to the fucking zoo. By the way, why is this animal in the fucking zoo with easy access to the patrons of the zoo? Like, fucking kids can walk up to this rat monkey fucking freaky shit thing and get their like death, like killed immediately. The thing was like voluntarily staying in that cage. That cage was easy to escape. But the fucking effects of the rat monkey, I knew what I was getting into at that point, and I loved it. Yes, the performances, I mean, come on, man. It's like,
hey, they asked kicking priest.
When are we going to talk about that?
I want to kick your ass in the name of the Lord.
I kick ass for the Lord. Yes.
Kick off for the Lord.
And then he was fucking, it was like, that's when you get your fucking Cobra Kai moment back. Like, he was fucking like karate shopping. He was like karate shopping the fuck out of zombies. It was just going. No, but the fucking cool, like the kiss of that movie, Zombie Baby.
Yeah.
From the with the nurse.
I kind of failed because I watched this movie before we found out that was an episode of Cobra Kai. But I'm gonna be real honest with you. If I knew that was in the chat, there was a good chance that I probably would have watched that Cobra Kai episode, not seeing anything else, because I've never seen Cobra Kai. But I would have watched like the middle of Cobra Kai versus watching any of this shit movie again. That was fail on my part. Mark, you're a sick freak. You probably enjoyed this too.
Why do you think I'm a sick freak? I mean, come on. Like,
Spring.
I mean, that's a good movie. I don't know. Everybody else had their issues with that. I don't know.
Okay, let's see what you feel about this.
Yeah, you know, I first saw this movie, I think, when I was like 15, 16, like, yeah, prime age. And I definitely really liked it then. It was like just kind of this wild, crazy film. And for the longest time in my life, I did think "I kick ass for the Lord" was the greatest line in cinema history. Like, it's yet to be topped, if we're being honest. Like, it's incredible. And watching it today, I almost expected like there to be like some drop off, and there really wasn't.
Fuck
like,
yeah! Let's
it,
go.
Like, you almost want to, just because like there's no attempt at story or acting or like character development, like none of that. But like it doesn't matter. Like, it's a movie in which our main character like walks a zombie baby through a park in a stroller.
Yes. Why does he do that?
For some reason. Like, there's no
Hold on, Mark, you're doing really good. You're asking you're making points, but you're somehow twisting them to positives, and I don't know where we're at here. But you're saying the right things. You're just doing the opposite.
Yeah, it's a great scene. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
It is a funny scene.
Hilarious.
He's just going, dropping the baby, hitting it. Like,
what the fuck is happening? Like, why is he walking this baby through a park?
It's
And then
If I could create another person on the bottom, I would put you there too.
Exactly.
we get to the end where a thing I find crazy about the end is it.
You find the ending crazy?
It feels like every 5 minutes there's like some crazy practical effect kill. Like, it just like at one after another. It must have taken them like 8 months to film like this 30-minute fight in the house. We got like the baby zombie going around. We see like that like rocker corpse like kind of being like made himself like into like a little corpse. Like, there's that where like we smashed that woman's head like on a light bulb and we made like a jack-o'-lantern thing. And then like the best one is when the baby goes through the lady and just like opens up her head, and I'm like, geez, that was fucking awesome. It's great. It's funny because I feel like there is probably much better representations of the zombie genre out there, but this is. I don't see how you're a fan of the zombie genre and you just skip Dead Alive. Like, it is an absolute must-watch for it.
Hell yeah.
Kelly.
Okay. This is the moment I've been waiting for. Mike, I understand that you don't like Cody, but I thought we were friends. Like, I thought, like, when I saw this,
I thought of Alid
like,
and not you on this. I knew Alid
well,
would.
that I very much understand, but like, honestly, my friend, I think I like you a little bit less for doing this to me. Like, why would you look me in the fucking eye? Like, I really can't believe that you fucking did this to me, knowing how much I would fucking hate this. And I fucking did. Like, this was atrocious. Alan said to me, "This is a very wet movie." And then I haven't been able to get that quote out of my head because I too am very, like, not very good with the gore. I don't share the same gag reflex as you, Cody. Like, I'm a bit proud of that. But the gore in this is insane. Nazario, you said that you liked when you were like, I'm in from this first scene. I'm like, honestly, if I nope out after this first scene, I'm done. And I managed to push through. And then you go, oh, we're going to go to the zoo. And as soon as I saw that fucking rat creature, I'm like, nah, there's nothing redeeming in this. This is just so not for me. I give it, we're not talking stars yet, but I give it half a star, and it is only for that priest scene, and it bothers me so greatly, and again, because I watched this is just me also to vent my frustrations with Alad. I know you're fucking watching this. Honestly, the fact that we've gone for 8 years and you say I kick ass for the Lord, and I thought that was something that you were fucking saying and not from a fucking movie, pisses me off. The fact that it took me till we watched Evil Dead 3 Army of Darkness for me to realise that Hail to the King, baby, or Give Me Some Sugar is not you, that you've just been Ash for 8 years has really pissed me off.
Yes.
So, this is Reanimator mixed with Evil Dead with a touch of Raimi and Kiwi humor, and it does nothing for me. We watched this movie, and Ali pointed at the screen and going, "That's you." And I'm like, "What?" With the Spanish lady? And he goes, "Yeah," she's all like aggressive, and he's all like, And that's fucking right? I don't get what that's about. And then we watched the scene with, "You're pissing on my mother." And Alice losing it. And I'm just sitting there like stone-faced. And he turns to me and goes, "Are we not watching the same movie?" I'm like, "Fucking obviously we're not." So I think Cody and I were watching something different to obviously what the rest of the panel is. To say I hated it summarizes it. Done. Thank you. Never
But Alan
thought
loved
again.
it, so success.
But just honestly, you guys can't meet because I'm scared you're gonna leave me and go run off to a cabin in the woods and get married and just watch horror movies all day. Like,
Hell yeah.
happen.
Let's go!
What's happening? What?
Cabin in the Woods is a good movie. Cabin in the Woods just makes me think of Evil Dead now, though.
It's the only Eli Roth good movie, I think.
The
But-
thing is,
no.
That's Cabin Fever.
Thanksgiving.
what? Oh, Nazario, that's why you suck at trivia. Okay. Anyways,
They beat bullets, okay? Sorry,
Shut-
and Mike. Sorry,
bullets
Sorry, and Matt.
pisses down their leg any chance they get a chance. Okay, calm down. Anyways, listen, I'm better with horror than I usually am, but this
I
isn't
was thinking
horror.
of Cabin Fever. You're right. I was thinking of Cabin Fever.
We know you exactly were. This is where you ask your team partner this, and they're like, "No, that's Kevin," and then you're right, and then you get the question. I am not like I'm better with horror than I used to, but like this wasn't scary to me. This is just
It's just
gross.
gross.
There's
Thank
different.
you.
Part of the scare?
Yeah.
No, like, and we'll talk
None.
about the next film too. It's like I should be scared. There's just morons. But we'll talk about that.
No.
Okay. Dumb.
Yeah. I just want to say one more thing.
No, you're
We're
not.
talking-
No, go ahead. Sorry, put you in the blocks.
I'm usually pretty nice when you say stop talking. I'm like, okay, yeah.
You are. You're respectful.
I just want to say, because we're talking about how bloody this movie is, and how gory and how very disgusting, I will admit. And I'm generally one who doesn't get too squeamish about violence, but there was one moment that was very squeamish to me, and I don't know why, but it really just elicited like a from me. Is when she eats her ear when they're having food or whatever, and then the ear just comes out, falls off, and then she just starts crunching it. I'm just like, the sound of it was just like, oh.
Okay, so you just did that to try to make me feel like your style? Well, fuck yourself. Half star. Kelly's half star. You sick bastards. Tell me where it's 4 to 5. Where are we at? I don't give a fuck anymore. You just should be-
Oh yeah.
4 stars.
Mike, don't even talk. I already know you.
3.5, but with a heart.
How much?
Yeah.
3.5.
3.5.
Okay.
3.5.
Yeah.
This
He
is
got a
also the same
3-star
guy who
movie,
says
Cody.
Jurassic Park 3 is
know
the
what?
greatest sequel, and he has it at 3 stars.
You
So
know
this
what?
motherfucker is nuts.
I don't need to try to understand you. That's fine. 3.5. You do you, Nazario. Mark.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah, this is the fact that Kelly's husband has been secretly quoting Dead Alive to her for 8 years, and she's never noticed. The greatest thing I think I've heard on this show. This is a 4-star movie with a bullet.
Fuck yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about when dumbass decisions bring the demon mirror into home and surprise it kills you. I'm always on horror fans. So WWE Films showed up on this thing, and I went, Mark, you don't disappoint ever. He is right. It's probably the best film ever under that banner. I'm a big fan of Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Condemned. I told them off call. But this is, or The Marine with John Cena. Brilliant.
Rundown.
Brilliant.
Mark and I and Mike, the rundown.
Oh, Rundown. Oh, I forgot that's a
Fuck yeah.
Rundown for sure. Rundown. Maybe Walking Tall. Multiple things. Maybe we'll just do a whole WWE Films thing. So maybe this is not even close to the best film by it. But in horror films, it always drives me crazy when dumbasses make bad decisions, and then it's supposed to have like this emotional element. But I just am happy because what do you expect? Like the movie The Boy, where she comes over to take a visit and they lay the instructions of watching their wooden doll and say these are the rules. And she doesn't just fucking leave then and just walk. No, she decides to take the income, and then bad shit happens to her. What do you think's going to happen? You came to watch a doll. So when bad things, this woman brings this mirror. I found it. Should have left the fucker alone. It was responsible for 45 years, like 45 murders over the spans of decades since this mirror's been around. Yeah, let's put it in the house.
Yeah, get that in my house.
Fuck, Mark. This movie is stupid. This movie is dumb from Jump Street, and then surprise, people die. What? And then the one she's trying to help her brother gets him fucking accused of murdering her at the end. Love it. Mark, when did you stumble upon this piece of shit? It's not really that. It's not as bad as the last two. It's not. I think it's arguably one of the dumbest movies out there.
This is a breath of fresh air compared to the two films.
The fuck,
Right.
Jake? You love
I'm
that.
just saying, like, the normalcy of a horror film.
He's giving 4 stars and he's like, these pieces of shits, right? Am I right, guys?
And
You can't win a smack now, Jake. Jake, you already fucked
Join the
up.
top row, Jay.
You're fucking out.
I want to be on the top row, please. Let me, please.
No, fuck you. Stay down there. You're no different than a person from New Zealand. Okay. You're Malcolm in my eyes. Anyways, Mark, when you stumble upon this, did you do a double feature of this in spring and be like, hey, I'm going to meet this Cody guy and just fucking talk about this shit online one day? Tell me about it. Because now the director, I will say, he's got that name of like horror, like and I think he's gotten better from this, but what made you stumble upon this and bring it to me?
I was thinking about this yesterday. I honestly can't really remember like kind of where it kind of started, because I definitely watched it because I was just trying to watch all of Flanagan stuff. Like, I think it's probably after I watched Haunting on Hill House, or I think that's most likely what it was. And I was just kind of just going through all his movies. But I will just say, like, I was reading the premise, seeing the WWE stuff. I just as a whole was surprised by how much I liked it when I watched it the first time. Because, in honesty, I think the movie honestly just really works. I think just on a conceptual level. Like, I kind of like you. I mean, listen. You brought up that they brought in this mirror. That was dumb. Like, I feel like at the end of the day, there is still like a family connection to this thing. Like, there's a thing of a sense of where these characters can't walk away from this one, because at the point like this. Like Karen Gillan's character is just obsessed with this. She wants to prove that her dad like didn't go crazy and like just kill their mom for like no reason. And just as like in kind of just bringing in the Mike Flanagan of it all, I feel like Mike Flanagan does, I think, a really good job of, I think, just building an atmosphere for this movie. I think he's better than I think most horror directors. I think it's just building an atmosphere kind of off of like nothing, if you will, like off of kind of no real monsters or like any, like he just kind of lets the characters and like his style kind of build a tension in there. Because I think especially with this movie, you just kind of feel like these characters are just never in control of anything. And I kind of, especially when we get into the second half, and it's kind of going in seamlessly through like what's happening now to what happened in the past. And you're also kind of second guessing like what's real, like what's going on. Like I just found like the kind of flow of this movie really fascinating, and also like a movie I feel like that should have just been like just kind of written off from the start. I felt like was actually kind of solid, and I think is really just a neat snapshot of kind of what Flanagan is capable of as a horror director.
I mean, I will say, like, Doctor Sleep, I think was fantastic. Like, I was so nervous about that movie. I watched it way later, but I think it's brilliant. I think he took steps of this. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. And like when I say WWE film, like this definitely feels less like one. And she does.
Is it just because they funded it? Like, what's
yeah, I think so. I think
Oh
they
yeah,
were just
1000%. Yeah,
they were just in the
funded.
business of making things.
Usually,
but,
it's not the films that they finance.
Oh, Vince McMahon wasn't sitting back there telling them to run that scene again. But he was, who knows? You just said something that's really funny to me. It's like,
that's why it's WWE.
they're like, oh, we have to do this because he wants to prove her dad's not. Gets the dad off. The brother takes the fall. Fucking kill, great. And like, it's just like, and the funny thing is, like, the real issue I have with this movie is it doesn't set up the powers of the mirror. And I understand. I don't want an exposition of telling me this, and this, but it does things that you just don't know that's possible. Like they leave the house, it still has power, like over the phone calls, and like why does it? Like how far do you need to get away from this motherfucker to be able to place a phone? Like if he walked like 5 more steps, is he able to make the call? If not, like, and she like gets herself in. It's just like don't bring Demon Mirror into home.
No.
Won't be, and then they like
Bring
walk
it.
in there. They walk in and they see the cameras like pointed to each other, and they're like, and I'm like, hey, newsflash! I was like, newsflash! It's the fucking mirror, guys. Don't shit. Hey, I don't know why you're shocked anymore. There's a demon inside your home.
I would say immediately. I feel like they do a good job explaining, kind of from like the first act, that the mirror manipulates reality. Because they may think they're doing something, but they're actually like doing something completely different.
Yeah, when he's making a phone call outside, he's actually inside.
Yeah, exactly.
But how far away do you get from the mirror does this have powers?
Because the mirror makes you think you're getting away while you're just sitting there.
I don't know.
Look, when I hear a demon mirror that's killed a bunch of people, fucking bring it in my house immediately. Let's fucking go.
Shocking.
That's a fucking party right there. Rory Cochrane as the father is fucking amazing in this movie. I fucking love him in this movie so much. He's so fucking great. Yeah, the dad.
Rory Cochrane?
Yeah, Rory Cochrane. Empire Records, Dazed and Confused. Let's fucking go, Slater.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't think anybody really stood out in the acting department whatsoever.
No, this guy's fucking fantastic in this movie.
Besides Gary Mully, I thought the rest of them was just like, hey.
And then her getting fucked up at the end, fucking great shit.
Oh, bad kill too. Terrible.
I'll say my piece. Mike Flanagan's just a filmmaker I haven't really like delved into his filmography. I watched Doctor Sleep like a year after, mainly because I lost a trivia match because of it. But other than that,
how we all get there at some point.
It was the match against Holtzman as well, so I probably
that's definitely how we get there.
Yeah. But yeah. I'd heard of this movie when it came out. There were just 100 horror movies that get released every year, so I was just like, this is just another horror film. I don't really have any interest in watching it. And also just movies about like hauntings or ghosts or like that sort of surrounds this movie. Obviously, it's not specifically about that, but movies where there's just I need rules, and like what you were saying, Aunt Cody, I need like what are the rules of this thing? And it doesn't. Yeah. And it's not specifically just in the horror genre. It can be any other genre. But like, if you tell me this is a thing and you give me what it can do, I need to know how it can be messed with and what are the rules behind it. Like, why are the characters not thinking about certain things in certain ways? Like, obviously, yeah, I don't want to go too specifics because it just like is pointless. But I particularly care for most of the performances. The brother, Brendan Thwaites, who. Let me just remind myself that He is Australian, yes, I thought so. Because he's in Gods of Egypt. He's in, I think, a pirate
He's
film.
cardboard. Like,
Why
he's
does he?
not-
Great.
Why does he relate to you? You're from New Zealand.
That's
Is
weird.
that the guy from Stranger Tides?
What?
Is that the guy from Pirates 4?
No, Pirates 5.
Ah.
I believe he's the son of, anyway, we're getting off
Yeah,
topic.
that makes sense.
I thought Karen Gillan was pretty good. I can't say I've seen her in anything outside of Guardians. Maybe I've seen the Jumanji films, I guess, but I don't really remember this one.
For who?
But I really like her performance. I like the performance, and I really like how it makes it clear why she's doing this, because she's having nightmares. We see the scene with her fiance or boyfriend or whatnot, and so it's obviously her sort of intention. She
Guy
wants
from
to
One Tree Hill.
pass.
That's what I wrote in my notes. I wrote, "Hey, it's Nathan from One Tree Hill."
I don't know what that
There you
means.
go. But yeah, I would say like what you're talking about, Cody, with Brain Dead. I would apply it to this movie, which is I wasn't really scared by anything. There's a couple of shots where you see a ghost or whatever, and then they disappear, and I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. But I think my biggest problem with this movie is the ending. Is it just that this is the cycle, that this is gonna keep going on? It's all pointless. Like there's nothing to it. This Miss Mirror is just gonna kill people. You can't trick
He's
it.
gonna
Like,
continue to fuck people
it
up.
doesn't
Someone's
have that-
gonna. There should be a sequel where somebody shows up at a lawn, like a garage sale, and be like, "Hey, that's a pretty nice mirror. How much you want for it?" And they put it in their home, and then they're
That's
like,
the
"What
most-
happened?"
You got the post-credit scene where they buy the mirror. But no,
Yeah.
yeah, that's my biggest problem is that I just couldn't get into the movie, and when the ending happened, it just made me go like, was there a point to this? And I just, I'm sorry, Mark, I just wasn't really into this film.
I'm with
Okay.
you, Mark.
Mike, have you talked? Have you said what
Yeah.
you
Oh yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, then I'm going to continue shitting on it. So we had the group chat, and we're putting in movies, and I see these two jabronis put in like Cannibal the Musical. And
Oh yeah,
and,
jabronis. Let's go.
Great, like here we go. And so I'm waiting for Mark's pick, and he puts in Oculus at 2013, and Mike Flanagan, and I'm like, okay, so I watched that when it came out, and I remember thinking nothing of it. Thinking it's pretty meh movie, so I'm like, oh, cool, we'll rewatch it, and like there might be something I've missed, or 10 years later, like I pick something up on it. No, it's just there. It's just I wrote 3 notes for this movie. That ponytail swish when Karen Gillan's walking.
Yes, her introduction. I was just like, why is that movie like a pendulum? I've never seen that before. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you.
You just need a woman to come on and like say these things. Hey, it's Nathan from One Tree Hill. And then I wrote, this movie is the epitome of that skit in Family Guy with Stephen King pitching movies and is out of ideas and goes, it's about this lab! Woo! That's all I could think. Yeah, that's all I had.
What did Alad think though?
Oh, liked it. He's like,
Fuck
you know,
yeah,
he's
let's
like,
go.
Again, like, yeah, he's like, no, it's
He's
a good
the
horror
secret
and the
seven
sound. And,
panelist on this.
Okay,
and
this
he
this
really
movie-
is the shadow panelist. Yeah, so we sort of had the same conversation where it's like, I get how Mike Flanagan got Dr. Sleep because he made knock off The Shining pretty much.
Okay. I really like this movie.
Let's go.
I think
Bring Mark down here. He deserves to be down here. Let's go.
You're back to Australia. Congratulations.
I wasn't expecting it because, like Jake said, like there's a million horror movies every year, and just it didn't sound like a good idea. It's a evil haunted mirror. Like for anybody who has seen Night Swim, the idea of haunted stuff. This is a haunted pool. Yeah, it can lead to shitty movies, but so fucking how this one really worked. I think the fact that it started with everyone knowing where the rules were. Like the movie begins with the Karen Gillan character saying, "See, yeah, this is a fucking haunted mirror," and the brother's like, "Why don't we just fucking break it? We already tried. We cannot do that. So I'm doing this whole system to prevent it. How are we gonna know how far it can affect us? Well, because it kills plants. We're gonna put plants around the house so we know till which plant dies. That's it. we're gonna put a dog here so it eats it. So you believe me that it's a fucking evil mirror? No, we're gonna set up video cameras everywhere because video always tells the truth, as we learned in Blair Witch 2, Book of Shadows. Video always tells the truth. And we're going to put backup cameras everywhere. And we're going to put a thermostat because, evil is hot. So it's going to rise the temperature here. So they do all this fucking setup. And I'm like, yeah, we're in. How is the mirror going to trick every single one of these things and survive? Because if you've ever seen a haunted thing movie, they are always, in the end, still there. Like, nobody breaks the haunted things. That's why they're haunted. So I honestly really like the movie. I love the fact that it just kept mixing it between the past and the present. Sometimes you couldn't even tell, like, what if it was just the mirror making them believe it was when they were young, or they were actually just flashbacks. And fucking planning, man, like the music, the cinematography, everything is freaking gorgeous in this movie. There's the one thing that bothers me is, but I can't explain it. Like, hey, you're stressed out, you're fucking like full of stress, you just want to break the fucking mirror. How the movie ends, like the guy's sitting in front of the computer, and the computer is pointing at the mirror. If you already made the choice, like, okay, my sister didn't let me do this earlier, I don't give a fuck about evidencing whatever, I just want to break the fucking mirror. Hey, how about this guy? Look at the camera. Look at the camera to see if your sister is right there. He didn't do that. And that kind of gave me a little salt on the thing, because I knew that something was going to happen, but I figured he would be smart enough. And I was like, how is the mirror going to trick the video system? Nobody can trick the video. No, he just didn't look at the video. That is the one thing bothers me about the movie. Everything else is fucking perfect. Katie Sackhoff, tied with chains, eating glass. Great shit. When Karen Gilliam thought it was an apple, then she was bleeding because it was a bulb, but it was really an apple. Perfection.
I thought that was a
great fucking movie. Now I want to watch fucking Doctor Sleep. I haven't watched it yet, but now I want to, because I watched Haunting on Hill House, and it was fucking great. And now I watched this, and it was fucking great. Let's go.
You just described
explanation, Cody. Eat shit.
The description of the light bulb apple, the apple to light bulb apple, and I just rolled my eyes. I'm like,
I didn't want to say like one last thing real quick, and then we can probably just move on. Like is Jacob said something about the ending. Of like, I do kind of like the ending, just in terms of, I think, how it compares to all of other Flanagan stuff, because I feel like most of Flanagan stuff, he does try to have kind of like a sort of like a what's not happy, but kind of like on the bright side type of ending. Like there's like somewhat of a bit of an optimism to his endings, and Oculus is just the exact opposite. It is the brother's going to get blamed for the murder, the mirror won, and that's the ending. Like, he's fine with letting this just being like the worst, saddest possible ending.
Sure.
The mirror is going into the Friday the 13th show series. Haunted Object.
What?
There's some show in the mirrors there.
Was that fucking whatever? Who gives a fuck? Okay. All right. Scores. Mark, what's your score?
Yeah, I was looking this up, and I still can't really figure out if Flanagan's doing the next Exorcist movie. If he is, like, that movie's got a shot. It's a movie that definitely has some issues. Like, I'll go with 3.5 out of 5. It's much better than it has any business being.
I'm at 2 stars. Probably 1.5, but I went 2 because overall, like, I think it's just dumb. But I think there are stuff in it that I don't hate. I laughed really hard when she was dead. Because it's like, duh. Like, what the fuck do you expect? Like, that's basically open your door like in a neighborhood with a gang and be like, hey, I'm leaving my door unlocked. Hope nothing bad happens. And you wake up and all your shit's gone. And you're like, what the fuck? Duh. You welcomed him in. Same thing with like Paranormal Activity when he started yelling at the ghost. Fucking ghost killed him. Bitch, don't speak back. Like, what are we talking about? Done. I'm all for dumb people getting consequences. So yeah, 2 stars. Kelly.
2.5. I did not think of it before today. I will not think of it after today.
Fair. Jake.
3 stars. My main issues are all just narrative choices. I thought it was well made, so I can't really say anything negative about that. I just wish the ending was, I don't know, a little bit more interesting, a little more just. It just left a sour taste in my mouth. And that may be just the intent of it, but I was just like, it just doesn't make me want to watch this ever again. So yeah, 3 stars.
Nazario.
If that motherfucker had checked in the video before killing his sister, I would have given this movie 5 stars. As it is, 4.5 with a heart.
Fuck.
Why are you putting your hand up? Like, I don't like that. It's a very Donald Trump thing.
Good shit.
For the election season, Roundtable does not endorse either candidate.
And we have 3 non-Americans as well. Like.
Right, yeah, write in Robin Williams to be president. Thank you. Mike.
Good fucking movie. 4 stars. Let's go.
All right. Final movie we'll talk about is my movie, which some people would be like, who was the bastard that made Cody watch Furiosa? It was me. It was me the whole time.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Yeah. So I have been I even did the double feature. I watched Mad Max Fury Road before this. That is 2.5 stars for me. There are things I just don't like the film overall because it doesn't. I mean, plot person, there is no plot. I'm sorry, there just isn't. It's, hey, get to drive away, go back. Cool, fuck you. I also believe in gas mileage. That movie does not. The big rigs would have been dead and shooting fire out of them. They would have been dead like 4 feet out of the town, but I digress. Either way, so I picked Furiosa because I was like, I have to watch this at some point and I was very hesitant because Hollywood has decided to make Chris Hemsworth the next funny haha man. And I have a strong belief that you can't be all-time sexy and funny. It doesn't work. There's a balance in this world. You can't have a 6-pack and be like chiseled from the gods and be funny. Save that for the chubby fat people.
So what do you think about Ryan Gosling then, like in Barbie or Nice Guys?
There are rare cases. He's like one that we went through. Me and Tim went through a whole list. Ryan Gosling was the only one that checked the box. Everybody else fucking sucked. Either way. And I mean, like, different. Like, he's funny in comedies and stuff, but, like, situational, like, be the slapstick guy, most of the time, not their cup of tea. They're trying to make the improv of Chris Hemsworth, like, him being improvising lines, like Thor, Love and Thunder. Garbage, just fucking... But anyways, I was scared because I saw him with, like, the nose prosthetic and, like, him being this thing. I'm like, this is going to be fucking terrible. Surprisingly, I really liked this movie. Like, I really like this movie, and I know it's going to piss people off because it's like, it's not Mad Max Fury Road as far as the Furious in this film. Fuck you, you're wrong. This movie, but the only problem I have with this movie is because the story, it does give me a story, and it does give me a through line that I enjoy. The problem is I already knew the story because she doesn't have a fucking arm. It's Mad Max Fury Road. She's got to lose the fucking arm at some point. She's got to get past this point, so she's got to escape. So there was never like that fear or worry for this character because I see her older in another film. So it took like that intrigue out of it, which I think hurts the movie. And I'm not saying this should have been the first movie, but like it's hard. You could have done this same Mad Max world, just not with the name Furiosa and done something different. But like all the beats, all the moments were already sought out in the first thing. How did she get alone? How did she lose her arm? Oh, she's in danger. Well, I've seen her with Tom Hardy, so she's getting out of this. So it just didn't do that. But overall, I did feel, and I don't know how everybody else felt about this, I don't know if the effects or like the thing took a step back in this film compared to the first film. I don't know if the budget went down. I don't know what the take was. But there was like times when I was watching Mad Max Fury Road because I wanted to watch these side by side to see the comparison. I was like, wow. Like, I can see these people that just love, like, this flawless, like, the effects and, like, everything about it, why they love this movie. It's a giant roller coaster ride from start to finish with no, like, real plot. But that's why people really enjoy the overall. This one, I felt like there were moments I'm like, ooh, how did that get through on, like, the editing side? Like, how was that not cleaned up? Why does that look as bad as it? Like, there were just little moments, not the whole movie, because I think there's a lot of like great moments, but there's also nothing that lives up to the visuals of the first one in this. Like that sandstorm in the first one, I think is like, as much as I don't give a shit about the characters, that's still like visually like, whoa, that's a mindfuck. This, I'm like, nothing gets to that level, and I just don't know. Like, you figure you go back to that same sandbox, no pun intended, you'd figure out that you could do a little bit more, have some more fun. It just seemed like they dialed that back, I guess, for more story. But I wonder what everybody else thought. I knew it was a brand new movie, so most people probably had either seen it or heard about it prior. But it's the only way I was ever going to watch this movie if I didn't put it on a round table. So, and with two Australians, I felt like it was like smart.
Yeah, well, I'll kick off because I get the double privilege of being a woman and Australian, so I have some very specific viewpoints on this. I had not seen it. I watched Mad Max in theaters, the Fury Road, I mean, and haven't watched it since because, Cody, I'm very much in the same boat. I don't hate it, but like I'm very more story driven, so the spectacle and all. I'm like, I saw it, I enjoyed it. Done. For Furiosa, I was like, okay, I'm keen to see it. I really appreciate George Miller casting Australian people. There's so many Australian character actors in this. We're watching through and we're like, oh, that's Angus Sampson. Like, he's like,
Love Angus Sampson.
Thank you. Like,
Thank God you're here. He's incredible.
Thank God you're here.
I own
Thank
all
you,
4
mate.
seasons on DVD. I'll show you to them after we finish this.
Yes, because Frank Woodley as well. Like, that's so good. The Umbilical Brothers. Like, sorry, we're getting really Australian in it, but that's the thing. Like, he really did cast a lot of different ethnicities because we're a really multicultural country. Like, I saw like a lot of character actors. I saw Indigenous actors. I saw like people from immigrant backgrounds. So like, I really appreciated that part. So this is one I watched first about a month ago, and the only thing I sort of really take away from it is that I at least appreciate that they sort of hit the female and birth aspect a little bit harder than the first one, because the first Fury Road, I saw people coming out of it and going, it's a feminist masterpiece, like there's such a strong feminist message, and I think they didn't hit that all the way through. And again, I think they got close to it in this one. But at least for this, what Mad Max sort of really cements for me, and sorry, I don't mean to get all serious on your light entertainment program, Cody, but in a post-apocalyptic world, as a woman, your only value is giving birth. And so it's really scary to me as a woman who's choosing not to have children that would be in my scenario, because when we watch these sorts of movies, we do like put ourselves in them. Like, how would I react in this scene, in this scenario? So to have the only value I have is procreating against your will, I think is really scary, and something that we really do still face even in our like globalized. Sorry, I don't mean to get so serious, but when I'm watching it, this is like
this is interesting.
and I wanted to ask, did you guys, like, the scariest scene for me is that scene where she was watching the women give birth and it's coming out like not as a grown child. Like, these are the only, fertility is the biggest thing I sort of take away from these Mad Max movies. Do you guys pick up on that? Like, does it scare you?
Most like not even just
it?
Mad Max, but most like post-apocalyptic movies.
Yeah.
When they deal, like Book of Eli deals with a portion of that. It's a scary fucking aspect to see because it appears in every single one of them. So it looks like it just sees the savagery of what people can go to when everything else disappears.
I don't think
Baby Diego dies in Children of Men, and we all cried.
I don't think it hits me as much.
Yeah, fair.
Because like it affects me. Like, it is. I think it would, like, if you asked me a long time ago, it wouldn't affect me at all. But now that I have a daughter, it kind of flips it on my head of like, wow, like because they even say the line in the movie is like, "I'll promise I'll be able to give you one," like or whatever. Like, no, you'll be at the milking station. Like, throws
Yeah,
her
you're just
away
gonna
like
be
she's nothing.
making milk
And
for
like,
everyone now.
like that's just her whole life, and like led to, and like if she's not able to produce or whatever, she's just thrown away. It was like it's something I never picked up on because in 2015 when I watched Mad Max Fury Road, didn't have a daughter, now have a daughter, so it's like total switch where I'm at,
Absolutely.
like mentally. So yeah, I thought when you brought that up, like you're okay to bring that stuff up like on the show, like I just was like, yeah, I would never cross my mind, but it was arguably one of the harder scenes to watch in the movie this time.
Even the scene of her as a little girl and knowing that grown man is going to prey upon her, because that's something as little girls we've been told about. Like I don't mean to bring it up, but like there's that the would you rather your daughter be with a bear or a man in the woods, like that whole scenario that was blowing up the internet a while back. It's very that, like, we've just been taught at a young age to be cautious, so to actually see it on screen, like my heart was racing during that scene.
I did get the ick pretty heavily, like because of the like her mom being taken away, and then all these men are just around, and I was just like, oh, like again, even if they're the most kind men ever, your disgust level is just to an all-time high. So yeah, I thought it was a really, they were able to attack the character of Furiosa and like her backstory, which I was like, okay, we see her as a strong female like lead, and that's what everybody led with. And that's what I got accused of because I didn't like a strong lead female character. That's why I hated Fury Road. I was like, no, could care less about who it was. I just didn't care about the sandstorms for 2 hours. No. But I would say like what I saw from it was like her backstory and showed why she became as hardened as she did was like from the world that they put upon her. I thought was a really interesting touch. So
what do we think about Anya Taylor-Joy? Because I'm watching it and like we don't see her until the back half of the movie almost, and I really like the young girl, but I'm watching it and I'm like, why have we cast every other Australian and not an Australian actress? Whether she can do an American accent or not, I think it would have been more authentic. I like Anya Taylor-Joy, but it just didn't hit for me. I didn't see her as the through line to Charlize Theron.
My only thought of that would be because Charlize has an American accent. But
you can cast a Samira, what's her face that you like.
Oh, Samara
and she
Weaving,
can do
an
accent.
Yeah,
She'll do great.
I agree.
I
do agree with that.
Scott Harvey is here, so
is he?
I think I can freely talk. Like, there are two people in Hollywood I don't really understand much. Anya Taylor-Joy is one. I just don't fully grasp it.
Is it the eyes? It's the eyes, right?
It's definitely the eyes. They almost lifeless most of the time she's on screen. Like, and I don't know, like, that's fine. And Timothy Chalamet has the most punchable face in Hollywood. It's not even close for a large margin. Like, I would, like, I hate that guy. But besides acting, I just feel like it's. I don't like that either. Well known fact, I'm not a Dune fan either. Yeah. But I don't know, like, on Hollywood side, makes perfect sense why she was cast. For this movie, I don't understand it at all. I don't get Charlize Theron to this.
I'm
and even when she
with my fingers as you keep talking. Like,
you're fine.
Still, sorry.
Guess what? Fidget with your face. I don't give a fuck what you're doing over there. You're stand up. Have a great time. I don't give a fuck. But my
Not
thing
the table,
is,
Jake.
You need to step away. I'm sitting there just like there is nothing. Even when she becomes hardened and angry and like older, I don't see anything that triggers the same to Charlize Theron. I think that's just a miscast. I just don't. But again, I like the movie, but it was my whole thing is like, why did she? Besides Hollywood appeal at this point, I just don't get it. Go ahead, Fidgeter. What do you got? What are you mad about?
Well, no, I'm going to say a lot, so I just want the bottom three panelists to talk because I will.
Okay, I'll say this. I really love Fury Road. I really, really do. I think everything worked in that movie. I don't know what wasn't. It's very hard, except for a couple of things that I will mention, but to pinpoint why I did not love this movie. I liked it enough. I think it's a good movie. I think it's a good, solid action movie, but something feels off. I do feel the effects are not as good as Fury Road. I think the cinematography is not as good as Fury Road. I do think that Samara Weaving was probably a better choice than Anya Taylor Joy. And I'm not saying even that she was a bad actress. The kid that is the Furiosa at the beginning is really good, like really good. The small kid, and then it's just something lacks connection. I think the symbolism is there, like what you were mentioning about the abuse of the kids. When you see Chris Hemsworth Dementus for the first time, he has like a very white cape, and he has all these ideal, like good ideals that he wants to do right. He wants to protect her, and he wants to be this good dictator or whatever, if that is even possible. And then the more the movie advances, the dirtier and bloodier the cape becomes until it becomes all red. And that is kind of like a visual indication of his transformation. I like that. I do feel this movie is either too short or has too much story. I feel like if you wanted to tell all this lifetime for Furiosa, from her small kid to where we know her, because it basically ends at the beginning of Fury Road, you needed to make this an even longer movie or make it a two-parter movie. Or just, focus on a smaller section of her life. We don't need to have the whole things like feel like a sausage in one movie, and maybe you can do another movie later with the second part. Like, it feels overcrowded, and that is the one thing I feel like I can do.
Was that a Panama sausage?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? You're not gonna spin that shit back to me.
I think we're talking about sausage making.
Have you not made, like, do you know how sausage is made? You get like the
it's all about Hamilton. You want to be
you
how
shove
the
it,
sausage is
and you
made.
shove it until there's no opening space.
Sir, I need you. We had Fidgeter up there at one point. You're doing too much with your hands at this point. I need you to figure it out.
My point is it's overcrowded. That is my point. Like, it feels like too much story for 2.5 hours.
The casing is too full on the sausage. Got it? Thank you. I should. You know what?
Biggest skin for the sausage.
Hold on. Reminder: don't question Nazario on food references. Thank you. Mike, I saw your rating already, so you already seen this movie. But what?
Oh yeah. So I grew up on the original Mad Max movies, and I absolutely fucking love them. I love all three of them. And then Fury Road came out, and I fucking adored that movie so much. It's such an amazing action movie. So going into this, I was already fucking hyped. And Chris Hemsworth looked like he was going to be eating the fucking desert. I fucking knew he would kill it, and he fucking did. I absolutely loved him in this movie. The entire movie was a fucking ride, and I'm there for it.
Mark, before Jake gives his filibuster.
My manifesto.
I thought Mike was going to talk about a lot longer.
Mike's short. He's like fucking desert fucking action fucking 5 stars. Fucking let's go.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Somebody stops him at Target. Is that a good thing? Yeah, fucking great. Awesome. Good job.
Great fucking movie.
Great fucking movie. He sells so many movies at Target. Great fucking movie. Deal.
Yeah, I saw his opening weekend. I liked it then, but it was like, listen, I know we already brought this up. I knew it was a movie I kind of had to see again. So I just kind of wanted to kind of digest it again. And honestly, I do think it was kind of one of those movies. I liked it a lot more the second time around. I think in a weird way, and I kind of thought this a little bit when I saw it. I feel this way even more now. Like, George Miller retroactively, I think, made a good first movie to like what should have maybe been the sequel like which is Fury Road, kind of the more like not like a lot of story, heavy action kind of sequel. And like that's kind of what we have here. Like I feel like even this one, I think they do think it has a couple of action scenes like to really hang its hat on. Like the Bullywong kind of middle set piece, I think is probably the best one. I mean, we brought up Hemsworth. I really like Hemsworth in these, and poor guy cannot fucking find a franchise to like have sustained, box office success. Like none of even this one. I don't know what the guy like if it's not named Thor, like it's not making fucking money, and which is a shame because he's really good in almost everything he's in. He's really good in this. Like I mean, he's. I don't like because he it's kind of similar to like another roundtable movie like from a year ago, like we talked about Bad Times in the El Royale, where he does a really good job at playing a charming bad guy, like kind of like the most despicable guy you can ever meet in your life, but he's charming. You want to like kind of sit and talk with him, and like that's like he does a really good job. And Dementis, I think, is one of those guys. Like you kind of want to hang out with Dementis, but like the more you hang out with him, like man, I kind of hate you. You're kind of the worst person ever. And I really like how we finish up with his character near the end of where she wants this revenge, and she just like she is kind of waiting for this moment, and Dementis just won't give it to her. Like I honestly like compared to another live action character, kind of disappointed by Negan from The Walking Dead. I feel like Dementis, in a way, is a much better version of what Negan should have been in like the live action Walking Dead, of a guy like who is just broken and does all these crazy and chaotic things because he is a broken human being, and just kind of the way he plays that, just at the end where like all she wants like is this kind of satisfying revenge, and he won't give it to her. The only satisfying thing he gives to her is like, you're like, I've been waiting for somebody like you to kill me because I want somebody who like earned the right to kill me in a way. Like it's like I think I liked it. I kind of liked it a lot then. I liked it a lot more now. Like the ending, I think, just really sings for me. Just I think it wraps up Furiosa's character journey really well, and I think it caps off to what was a really great villain performance from Hemsworth.
All right, get it, Queen. Go for it.
Okay, so I wanted to say I love the Mad Max films. Surprise, surprise. I remember Mum showing me Thunderdome when I was a kid. Loved it. And I rewatched all of them when Furiosa was coming out. I love Fury Road, obviously. Mum and I went and saw that back in 2015. It was incredible. Most of the world loved it. And then this one's coming out. And I think everyone was sort of, I would say, hesitant because I would say with most prequels, it's very hard to make a movie satisfying and exciting when you already know the outcome. You know how it's going to end. Like it's a fixed point with prequels, and that's just prequels in general. So I get it. But I really enjoyed it when I watched it with my mum in the cinemas, and I was really looking forward to a rewatch. So I'm really glad, Cody, that you picked this because I wanted to have a rewatch just to really see what my thoughts on the movie was, and it got better. Now that I know what I was expecting, what I saw from the movie, I could go into it and just be on the movie's level. And I love this movie. I love the Mad Max films. I love what George does with this. He obviously cares so much about this. The thing that's interesting about the movie, and we've sort of been talking about how it compares to Fury Road and how, even though they're very similar, I mean, this is the prequel to it, but they wrote this movie before Fury Road. George had been working on this film. Like, this was the backstory. He had written this whole backstory for Furiosa. Obviously, certain things changed. They came and went. Like, Furiosa was actually supposed to be a bride of Immortan Joe, and the whole thing was she was infertile. That's what was in the original script. And so they decided to take it out because they thought it would be too, it wouldn't work for the movie, and there were certain ideas, so they changed it. And we're talking about Hemsworth. I think he's great in this. I love Dementis. He's like the only character who's like, yeah, the world is shit. Let's just do something new. Like, this is all fucked. You have these other warlords and people trying to bring back society and civilization. He's just like, no, we're at the point of no return. Like, I've lost my family. Like, he is Max in a completely different, if he took the wrong road. Like, that's what he is. And I love his gang. Like, he just has like a biker gang. I love that. And they just move from one place to the other.
As well.
He's got the chariot. It's fucking
Banging.
cool. There are so many things in this movie where I go, that is fucking cool. The whole wall rig action sequence is like the standout. It's like 15 to 20 minutes long. I love the paragliding and all that shit. It's just so fucking cool. Like, every time something cool happened, I went, holy fuck. Holy shit. Like, it's just so much fun to watch that play out. I do agree with the criticisms that it's not visually as interesting as Fury Road. It's a different cinematographer. I don't think Simon Duggan is as good as John Seal. I think visually, there's a couple moments where I go, it doesn't have the oomph that Fury Road had. And also the score as well. I don't know about you, but I don't really remember the score to this movie other than when it uses the pieces from Fury Road, like the main motifs. Like, I just think this movie is a lot more quieter in the score.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I was
gone.
I was going to point that out. When watching them back to back, I don't pay attention to that score ever, like, unless it's like stand out to me. And that's when when I went back to back. Like, I ended Mad Max Fury Road and went right to it. I was like, the score is not like it's a character in Mad Max Fury Road. It feels non-existent in this film.
No,
The only plus I would give that, I wrote in my notes, is that it includes some didgeridoo, and I thought that was pretty cool. That it was quite authentic to that experience.
That probably does a lot more for you guys than it does for me.
Absolutely. Of course. Didgeridoo sounds great. But yeah, I do agree with everything everyone has said. And I think Hemsworth was like, we look at just the fact that he takes crazy spins on like the films they say. Like, did anyone see Spiderhead? The Netflix one, like, that came out a couple years ago. He's the villain in that. He's kind of good in that. But I like him as Dementus. I think he's good in Bad Times, as we said. Thor, he's hit and miss for me, honestly. But like, he always takes movies and directors that are kind of interesting, especially when you compare it to the other MCU actors. Like, I think he's at least, he worked with George Miller. He worked with fucking like Drew Goddard. Like, he's working with filmmakers that are interesting to a certain degree. And I just like what we do with this. Like, with the prequel idea, obviously we're going really into Fury Road's Immortan Joe and the Bullet Farm and Gastown. I love that we get to see it and really see it, like the world of Mad Max. And what does Gastown look like? Oh, well, there's just a bunch of oil surrounding the facility. What's a bullet farm? Well, it looks like a mining town. It looks like a mining place. Obviously, just great ideas like that. And I think the number one thing, one last thing I'll say is I think the action fucking rules. The action is on point with Fury Road. Like, the wall rig sequence we talked about, the bombing knocker. Is it time to use the bombing knocker? Shit
okay,
like that.
Do you guys know what a bombing knocker is? Because they said that, and I wrote that in my notes, and I'm like, that is the most Australian thing I've heard in a long time.
I assumed it was when the stuff started spinning, but I don't know what
that
it
is.
actually
Yeah.
That is actually the bombing knocker part, Kelly.
Yeah.
It's just like incredible, just like the bombing knocker. Like, it's when I think of Australia, and words like that, I go, yeah, bombing knocker.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And yeah, like the action, like, especially even like in the whole first 20 minutes where it's that chase, and it's so dialogue sparse where we're just seeing these two outlanders or whatever capture Furiosa, and we just see her mom just like the biggest badass
with
killing
no
these
shoes
people.
on.
No
Running.
shoes on, fixing a motorbike, like just all that shit. It's so, like, from the first minute, I'm engaged by this movie. And even though it's 2.5 hours or whatnot, like, it never really.
The first act with the mom is the strongest part of the whole movie for me.
Well,
how she knows everybody one by one.
There's also different chapters, which, like, George hasn't done anything like that. Like, the first chapter is called The Pole of Inaccessibility. Like, what? Love that stuff. Yeah, I think this movie's great, and it has gotten better on a rewatch.
So what I thought was, it seemed, and again, not saying they did, but it was weird for them to do this style, because it seemed like George heard, like, and I know it didn't affect him at all, but I'm saying we bitched and moaned of, like, there are fans that just, or people, I need a fucking story, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I'll give you a fucking story, and here it is, which is just weird, because I was like, I expected it to not be, and like, everybody's like, this one's so good, but it does have a story. I'm like, you got me in. But no, I thought like this made this. I haven't seen the other Mad Max films, so those will be a journey that I will go down. But what I will say is like, I want to go back. What I hated the world, I now enjoy the world, and I would like to go back to that world if the stories are. But if the stories are, but I want a story.
I know what you're
I
saying,
don't
yeah.
want an action. I don't want just a nonstop action film that doesn't have a plot. Guess what? Shocking. I wouldn't like John Wick if John Wick was just a nameless shoot guy that shot everybody, and at the end of the day, the movie ended. I need somebody that I can connect into and enjoy the ride with them. If I don't have that, I don't care what you're doing.
Does
Well,
this
too
movie
bad
make
because the
Fury
one
Road
with story
better?
made no money.
Sorry.
Yes. I feel like if I watch this leading into Fury Road, because then it feels like there needs to be an end cap almost for me now. But like, I feel like I know her story, I know who she is, and now we're just in an action scene. Because now when I see Furiosa in Mad Max Fury Road, I know what she's been through. I know her struggles. I know how she became hardened the way she is, and now I know how these people became who they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like
If you connect to the
women,
world-
Like, that's a cool last scene.
When you see the whole
Yeah.
picture, I would say Furiosa is the first and second act, and Fury Road is the third act. I think that's just how you've got to view it. Is that it's
And that's
just
fair.
a fraction of the film, and like I get with Cody, you're not gonna now immediately be in love with Fury Road. I'm like I've accepted that. I've accepted the
No,
truth.
I think honestly,
the world.
but I watched the first one. I watched it, and then I watched this. What I wish I would have done was watch Furiosa and then watch Mad Max. So now the next time, now I'm not afraid of watching Mad Max. Now my double feature, I will do a double feature of it again, but I'm going to flip them and just see, because now I just know more about that world and who and how these characters became the way they are, and that's why it's more interesting to me, because I can see what they're dealing with in their conflict. They just throw you into the world of Mad Max Fury Road, and people are like, "Give me the fucking guitar that shoots fire. That's fucking sweet, man." I don't. They're putting spray paint on their mouth. Isn't that sweet? Look at Nicholas. I don't fucking care because I don't know what you're doing. You're just being fucking weird. And then Tom Hardy's just sitting there. I'm like, okay. And everybody's like, that's so fucking metal. And I'm like, I'm fucking bored.
Well, I do say the one problem I have with Furiosa is the ending, and specifically the credits. When we see the clips from Fury Road, that's when I'm like, the idea of this movie is that this is the first and second act. This is the prequel. We don't need to see what happens, because obviously we know what happens. And if you're working this movie as a double feature, obviously you're going to watch Fury Road after, and you're going to see how that story plays out. I don't need the credits to sort of remind me, oh, this is what happens, and this is what happens.
You'll just turn off the film.
You got to respect the people who made the movie. But that is the one thing where I go, well, it just feels like it lessens the impact of watching Fury Road now, because of like, obviously I'm watching not the complete story, and now you just told me like a bit of what's going to happen. Just like, that's the one thing I'm a little bit iffy on with Furiosa.
Anything else? That was a great discussion. Well done.
That was really good. Good job.
Any other discussions that we need to say? Or are we going to give scores?
Couple things. Shout out Tom Burke.
Yep.
Motherfucker talking to anybody else is like, fucking let's talk for another 5
minutes. There's a lot to discuss. I feel like there's a lot in this movie. Praetorian Jack is cool. He's dope.
Oh, yeah. The British guy.
Yeah. I really like, Angus Sampson we talked about. John Howard, former Prime Minister, plays the People Eater. I'm kidding. And Chris Hemsworth's wife's in the movie, playing 2 different roles.
Yes!
I think that was kind of cool. Mr. Norton, I think, is one of the characters. This is great. I love the Mad Max, and I love the action. It's just, I don't think we're getting another Mad Max film ever again, especially one directed by George Miller. Unfortunately, just because this movie absolutely bombed at the box office.
Yeah, did it really?
It was a big bomb.
It doesn't deserve it. When I watched it, I was like, this was good. It does not deserve a box office bomb title attached to it. That's not fair.
I think part of that is just because it's a prequel. Like, I think prequels just have bad connotations, and like not a lot of them are successful. And also, this is 9 years after.
And no offense,
I think that's part of it.
There's a lot of people that sat through that thing, and the general public were bored to fucking tears. Just want that on the record. You film fans were like losing it, but the rest of us, I remember watching it with my friend, and I was like, I just want to fucking leave. And then he was like, and then we left. And I was like, you enjoyed it? And he goes, no, I hated it. I wanted to leave so bad. I was like, why the fuck didn't you say something? We could have left 20 minutes ago. It was great. It was the greatest
Fury
thing
Road
ever.
made 380 million worldwide. Furiosa only made 175. That is why.
And Fury Road didn't even make like a lot of money. Like
Yeah.
this was up against Pitch Perfect too. Like that's a whole other thing. But
Well, I've kept you. I think this was one of the longest roundtable episodes, but it was a great discussion. Let's get some scores, and then maybe no, I won't say that. I was like, we can run this group back at some point, but
Hell
Mike
yeah.
and Mike and Nazario need to be separated for.
Kelly and I just need to have a day off. We just need a Monday off. Like
That's
how
true.
We work
That's
mornings.
true.
Like,
That's true. I will say that some of the best roundtable episodes is when Jake's available. So sad that you have to become an adult and work all the time, but you know you should stop that. You know, become famous somehow. Also, do TikTok dances. It was my movie, so I have to give out the score. I'm sitting at 4 stars,
Hell yeah.
which I think for 2.5 on Mad Max. And I honestly, if I go back, I'd probably give Mad Max 3.5 at this point. Like based on how after watching it, I did not feel the runtime either. I will say that I actually was all in it throughout the entire time, and I really enjoyed it. I felt the Mad Max a little bit, but we'll go to the Australians first. We'll go to Jake first.
4.5 stars. We got better on a rewatch. Sorry, Kelly, to say that. This is an actual case of
If
this
you
was a
do
rewatch.
rewatch it, but I hate the phrase "on a rewatch." It might, as in I'm anticipating it. That's just a dick move.
That's true. But you know what? That's fair.
I
That's
promise I will be a better person after this now, Kelly.
We will. I think the whole group will be better. Because
That's not
Four and a half
directed at you, Jay. That's directed at
I know,
everyone.
but I've said that before in the past, so I'll take
Kelly is going to make the panel a better play for people except Nazario. Kelly, what was your score?
I'm sitting at 4. I more appreciated it than loved it. So, like, if it was me, maybe like a 3.5. But I'm sort of like, it deserves a 4. It's one of those ones. Like, it deserves this.
That's another buzzword that we all say. I respect it more than I like it. And that's always that we all say it. It's good, but it's true. Great fucking movie, 5 stars. Mike,
Quintessential
That was-
great fucking movie. 5 stars. Fuck
Nazario.
Why
you.
did Mike say that twice? He said great fucking and then he said
Weird,
it again.
right?
Like,
That's how I know my friend.
4 stars. I gave it 5 to Fury Road. This is 4 because of all the reasons that I said, especially the sausage one.
He talked like, remember that? I don't know what movie tonight. He was like, "Yeah, it's great, doing the buzz, doing this," and then all of a sudden, 3 stars. And then this
Cannibal
one, he's
musical.
like, yeah, he's like, yeah,
Because it's all fucking movie.
You make no sense when you talk, especially the sausage comment. Mark.
Dancing around a couple. I think currently, for me, it's the 6th best movie of 2024. I'll give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars.
Fucking A.
What would it have been like 3 beers ago? Same?
I was just 4. I don't know.
See, Mike and Nazario, this man has been hammering them. Thanks. This is what you did to him. Thank you all for being on. Go check out Film Coven by Kelly and Melissa. They do great work over there. Don't watch anything Nazario puts out because it'll probably get
Watch
you
the hit stick.
canceled.
Shit.
Oh yeah, watch our football podcast. Me and Mark talk about TV, all that stuff. Everybody have a great night whenever you're watching this. Bye.